The story kicks off in the bustling, beautiful, and sunny city of Shanghai. There, we see a mother taking care of her son, Chen telling him how lucky he is to just eat and sleep all day. She goes on to say that as long as her boy grows up healthy, all her hard work will be worth it. But our protagonist has actually been reincarnated into this baby, and he's even earning energy points from being breastfed. He then gets hyped seeing a blue screen and discovers that, on top of everything, he also has a cheat skill. At that moment, his parents say he's going to be a great gene fuser or a cyborg. At 3 months old, our MC has already completed his first task by kicking his legs 10,000 times, earning himself a reward. Still, he wonders what gene fusers and cyborgs are, imagining if there's something like superheroes. Fast forwarding to when our boy is 4 months old, his house is completely dark. To avoid freaking his parents out with his abilities, our young hero only trains at night and has even learned to crawl. By 5 months old, he can already walk, and the system keeps rewarding him with more and more points. Hitting the 6-month mark, he can finally sit up and crawl in front of his parents like a normal baby. While watching TV for the first time, he realized that the Earth he was reborn into was different from his own. This new Earth had undergone mutations and unknown creatures had appeared, which are called aberrant beasts. To fight these creatures, humanity followed 2 paths, one of technology and the other of gene modification. Our protagonist has a cheat system, so he needs to level up and survive in this dangerous world. Just then, our boy looks toward the door because someone has come to visit his family. At the door, a neighbor named Su Meng introduces herself, and it looks like she's brought a gift. Right after, she introduces her husband and her daughter, who are the new residents in the apartment next door. Our boy thinks to himself that this is his first friend in the new world, and that their destinies will be intertwined. At 7 months, the little guy can already run, earning him even more points. Besides running, he can also jump, and the system continues to shower him with points. Thanks to his ability, by 7 months he has already mastered skills like running, jumping, and even talking. Reaching 8 months of age, our MC can already do sit-ups and push-ups in his crib. The kid only trains in secret, but one day, his mom caught him in the act. She was shocked and couldn't believe what she was seeing, wondering why on earth her son was doing sit-ups. However, our hero quickly played it off, making her think it was just a hallucination from being overworked. Days later, his mom called her husband in a panic because she discovered her 8-month-old son already had a 6-pack. The protagonist's father then started thinking and remembered that besides the 6-pack, he also eats a ton. With that, the man had a brilliant idea and asked his wife if their son might just be a rare prodigy. The protagonist's father says he'll have a bright future, and our boy is relieved that his secret hasn't been exposed. While they're watching TV, they see a news story about a young prodigy who can lift 20 kilograms at just 2 years old. Hearing this, his mother proudly says that her son won't lose to any of those prodigies from elite families in the future. Our protagonist thinks that his mom knows him well, but he wonders if he could actually lift 20 kilograms at age 2. Fast forwarding to 2 years of age, our MC can now lift the 20-kilogram box with just one hand. Suddenly, his mom calls him to come play with his friend, and he almost drops the box on his head. He then walks out of the storage room looking exhausted after having to ditch his training session. He walks over to the door to open it. Upon opening the door, our young hero is a little surprised by what he sees. There stood Shen Qingyan with a pie in her hands, and even though she's the same age, she still talks like a baby. Because of their mental age gap, they don't play much, so she mostly serves as a human weight vest for his training. However, the little guy realizes that using his friend as a weight for training has one small problem. And that problem is that sometimes she pees on his back while he's working out. 3. Our boy is much stronger and can lift 40 kilograms with one hand. Now at 4 years old, he sees a prodigy on TV lifting 30 kilograms and thinks to himself that he's already stronger than that guy. Despite being strong, his biological level is still at rank 1, and he wonders what the next level could be. With that in mind, our young hero leaves the house for the first time and sees the world. The first place he decides to go is the library, since his parents don't let him use electronics. Arriving there, he runs ahead of everyone while his friend calls for him to wait up. His mom asks why he likes such difficult books, but our young hero just keeps on reading. Reading the books, he discovers that the world is divided into 6 biological levels, from common to mythical. He also finds out that each level has 9 ranks, and he feels very small in this dangerous world. As he reads, the system rewards him with a new ability for having read 100 million characters. With a new mission from the system, our MC continues to train and read nonstop for the next few days. At 4 years old, he finally starts attending kindergarten with his friend. Not long after he reaches level 2, able to lift 80 kilograms and run incredibly fast. But as they say, with great power comes great responsibility, and his friend is being bullied. So our protagonist leaps into the middle of the room. With his superhuman speed and strength, he quickly acts, releasing his energy for everyone to feel. He then threatens to pee in the bed of anyone who dares to mess with his friend again, leaving everyone terrified. After his threat, all the bullies start crying in fear while his friend looks at him with admiration. With that, the system notifies him that he has become the kindergarten king due to his dominant presence. Our MC is surprised to have activated a new mission and discovers he can do several at the same time. Half a year later, he completes the reading mission, and his learning ability reaches the peak human level. Time flies, and at 7 years old, our boy and his class finally graduate from kindergarten. During the break before elementary school, he kept training and improving, getting to the point where he could lift 200 kilograms. His jump also improved a lot, and this time he managed to break the 2-meter height mark. On top of that, his speed increased, and he finally ran the 100-meter dash in under 8 seconds. With his super intelligence, he finished the entire elementary school curriculum and was waiting to unlock his next title. Finally, his elementary school life began, and he knew the competitions would be a piece of cake. And as expected, he won the national academic competition, making his family very proud. During his free time at school, our young hero took the opportunity to tutor his friend, Shen Qingyan. She wasn't very gifted, but with his help, she became the second best student in the class, right behind him. To unlock the title faster, he also participated in all the sports events and broke every single record. But just when he thought he'd have a peaceful school life, a transfer student showed up in his class. The teacher then introduces the new student named Bai Zhu, and our MC senses a faint aura from her that didn't seem quite human. The new white-haired student walks down the aisle of the classroom, catching everyone's attention. The protagonist's friend comments on the new girl's hair, but our boy was too busy thinking about something else. Just then, the white-haired girl sits down in her seat. He was worried about her aura, which didn't feel human, and wondered if she was a gene fuser. In the following days, the new girl didn't talk to anyone, and just slept at her desk the entire time. At first, everyone was curious about her, but over time, they simply stopped paying attention. A month later, the peace was shattered when the girl started to sweat. This substance had a very strong and unpleasant smell to everyone around her. Because of this, the other students started complaining about the smell. One kid walks up to her, then throws water on her, saying he's going to help her clean up. With her hands on the wet desk, the girl clenches her fists tightly, showing her anger. Even though she tries to hold it in, she can't stop the tears after being humiliated in front of everyone. The girl then breaks down in tears at her desk, while the other students just watch without doing anything. His friend then asks if they can help poor Bai Shu, who was suffering at the hands of the bullies. Our protagonist agrees and decides to help, as he realized she wasn't dangerous, just a girl being bullied. Without wasting a second, our boy grabs the bully by the collar of his shirt, leaving him completely shocked. Terrifying smile on his face, our MC orders the punk to clean Bai Shu's desk immediately. The kid is terrified and instantly agrees to clean up the mess he made. Knowing our hero's reputation, the bully cleans the desk without a single complaint. After that, he tells everyone else who was bothering the new girl to go and apologize to her. Scared stiff, all the other students agree, and get ready to say they're sorry. One by one, they all bow and apologize to the girl, promising to never bother her again. The white-haired girl then thanks the two of them for helping her in that difficult moment. His friend says it was nothing, and from that day on, she would try to befriend her. Whenever she had a tasty snack, she would share it with her new friend and bring our MC along. But the new girl seems a bit hesitant to accept the friendship and the snack offered to her. She then asks if they aren't disgusted by her because of her bad smell. The girl says she's always been an outcast, and having someone by her side for the first time feels like a dream. His friend tells her that this isn't a dream, making her even more emotional. Our hero's friend says she knows how it feels, and that's why she would never be disgusted by her in any way. Our young hero's friend says they'll be friends forever, extending her hands to the new girl. At that, haired girl suddenly hugs the protagonist's friend. She starts crying with happiness and thanks her new friend so much. The tears keep falling as she remembers something important she has to tell them. Then the girl says that since they shared snacks with her, she wants to give them something in return. She offers them a pair of beast fangs she got for her birthday and hopes they like the gift. The necklace with the fangs is handed over as a symbol of the new friendship they've just formed. Together, the three of them celebrate their new friendship, promising they'll be friends forever and ever. But just when she thought their friendship would last forever, some unexpected news caught her by surprise. Our protagonist then confirms the news, saying he saw the new girl filling out transfer papers. Peeking into the principal's office, our young hero sees the girl with a cyborg man handling the paperwork. With this, he confirms his suspicions that Bai Shu's identity wasn't so simple after all. From that day on, our MC never saw the girl again, and she became just a childhood memory. However, the events that followed her departure were what really caught his attention. At home, our young hero gives his mom a massage, who thanks him for relieving the stress from her job. Massage thanks to a skill, and on TV, a news report about the Kyoto prodigy comes on. At just 10 years old, the boy on TV underwent a gene fusion and lifted a giant boulder with one hand. Just then, our boy's dad comes in and complains that this particular protagonist is always on TV. His parents talk, and the man explains that the boy's martial artist family has advanced technology. Our MC thinks to himself that at 8 years old, he can already lift 300 kilograms without any fusion. With this, he realizes his potential is even greater than he imagined and becomes more confident about the future. However, his confidence vanishes when a breaking news report shows a beast attack in a neighboring country. The news shows that the attack was carried out by giant rats that destroyed the city. In the middle of the chaos, a woman is caught by one of the giant rats and is about to meet a tragic end. The creature then snaps its massive jaws shut, and the poor woman couldn't escape her cruel fate. The news then cuts to a politician pleading for help and blaming a cult for the beast attack. Our boy is relieved to live in a strong country where he can grow up safely. But suddenly he hears a strange noise and his eyes go wide with shock. Then, the sound of an explosion in the air startles everyone, and our young hero goes on high alert. Without a second thought, our MC runs towards the window to see what happened. Getting there, he carefully pulls back the curtain to peek at the situation outside. Through the window, he sees several cyborgs flying by and wonders why there are so many of them. The next morning, life seems to be back to normal, and our boy heads to school. When he gets there, his friend is waiting for him and complains that he's late for class today. Our protagonist then looks at her and notices something strange glowing. He gets closer and sees that the beast fang that Baizhu gave her is shining brightly. With that, he finally understands that the girl's strange aura was coming from that monster tooth. The glow fades soon after, but he's left thinking about the events of the previous night. As they're walking down the street, a mysterious and tall woman appears in front of them. The red-haired woman then smiles and comments that they are very cute children. The woman then asks if the two are siblings, or maybe even boyfriend and girlfriend. His friend replies with a smile that they're just good childhood friends. With a wicked grin, the woman says she's envious of their friendship. She asks where their parents are, since they're walking alone. Just as the girl was about to answer, our MC grabs her hand and stops her from speaking. He then pulls her along, saying they're late for school. Once in the schoolyard, the young man warns his friend not to talk to strangers. Time passes, and after school, the two kids head home together. His friend complains that the alley is too quiet and has a creepy vibe. Our boy explains that the area is scheduled for demolition, which is why no one's around. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out to them, and they see the woman from earlier. The red-haired woman was waiting for them and says that she's found them. Our MC is shocked because he took a shortcut, and yet she still managed to follow them. Then, a muscular man appears behind the woman, and she invites them to come eat at her place. The big guy loses his patience and lunges at the two of them to grab them by force. The man says he's in a hurry to sell them and moves in to snatch them. Our MC isn't intimidated and braces himself for a fight without any fear. With a swift movement, he throws a powerful punch straight at the big guy. The punch lands right in the henchman's family jewels, leaving him breathless. The force of the impact sends the man flying, leaving the woman in shock. She can't believe a student managed to take down her partner with a single blow. With no time to waste, our boy rushes forward to land a punch on the woman. He attacks her with a powerful strike to her face. After knocking them both down, our young hero grabs a brick from the ground to finish the job. He notices there are no cameras around and decides he needs to take them out for good. But suddenly, the ground starts to shake, and his friend wonders what's happening. At that moment, a giant claw bursts through the wall. Between the buildings, a giant rat emerges and roars. The creature brings its enormous jaw close to the woman to bite her. With one quick bite, the creature ends the woman's life without a second thought. His friend is terrified and asks what that giant creature in front of them is. Our MC picks up his friend and tells her that it's a giant, dangerous rat. He then says they need to run as fast as they can to survive. A blonde cyborg in red armor appears, flying down from the sky. The cyborg then positions herself in front of them to protect them from the giant monster. While our protagonist is stunned by the woman, she hovers in the air in front of the creature. Without wasting any time, the heroine begins to charge a powerful energy attack in her hand. She then aims at the creature and prepares to launch her special attack. She fires multiple projectiles towards the giant monster. The projectiles hit the creature dead on and cause a massive explosion in the alley. With a spin, she fires off several energy projectiles. The giant monster is hit head-on by the attacks. But even wounded, the creature doesn't back down and glares at the cyborg with its multiple, rage-filled eyes. Without letting up, the heroine lands another blow on the monster. Days later, our guy watches the news and figures the cyborg isn't all that strong since it took her a while to win. He also thinks about how dangerous the giant rats are and is glad he managed to get away that day. With that in mind, he decides to ramp up his training, earning more points with squats. Life goes on, and soon they're celebrating his friend's 9th birthday. After they make their birthday wishes, our young hero gives his childhood friend a gift. She's thrilled with the hair clip he made himself and thanks him with a bright smile. Time passes, they graduate from middle school, and our boy is excited for the next step. To get better faster, he trains non-stop, doing push-ups with a giant boulder on his back. With all that effort, he finally reaches the 3rd level, and his physical abilities improve big time. He's watching TV and wonders what level the prodigy of Kyoto is at now. The 14-year-old prodigy lifts 2,000 kilograms, but our MC realizes he's still stronger. This gets him excited, thinking about how strong he'll become once he gets a gene fusion in the future. A beautiful sunny day. Finally, high school begins, and since he's the top student, he was invited to several elite schools. On registration day, the principal and teachers welcome him with high hopes for his future. But all he really wants to do is have fun with his friend. His friend gets all excited and calls him over to start the game they had planned. With a swift move, she serves the birdie with a special technique called the fairy curveball. But someone interferes with their game, catching the birdie mid-air. Just then, an upperclassman shows up and says the court is reserved for older students. The goons surround the girl, offering private lessons, but she obviously turns them down. Seeing this, our hero gets ticked off and tells the bullies to back off from his friend, like, right now. The upperclassman just gives a smug grin and says it doesn't matter who was here first, because he's taking the court. Our boy then grabs the birdie and tells the guy to listen up. He tosses the birdie high into the air. He leaps high and gets ready to smash the birdie, to show them what his rules are. In air, with all his strength, he slams the racket into the birdie. Sane force, the birdie rockets toward them. The birdie flies at the speed of a bullet and punches right through the bully's racket. At this, all the bullies are terrified, wondering if our guy is even human. Scared out of their wits, they bow, apologize, and scram off the court without looking back. After that day, no one ever dared to mess with them again for the rest of high school. Since he had already finished all the school material, our young man just read interesting books in class. He used his free time to learn a bunch of new skills on his home computer. To unlock a title, he won every championship and got top marks in everything he could. Because of this, he ended up with a lot of fans, but the big shot title still wasn't unlocked. Ignoring the girls, he focused on helping his friend. At the festival, he competes in 3 events, and in the shot put, he hits 201 meters. The 3 events he chose were to show off his strength, jumping ability, and speed to everyone. And our MC knew that by dominating these 3 categories, he would dominate the entire sports event. Even holding back so he wouldn't overdo it, he still took first place with 0 effort. But suddenly, he felt a different kind of energy flowing through his body. The system then rewards him for his dominance, and he finally unlocks the high school top dog title. While walking through the school entrance, our guy thinks that the life essence of creatures can evolve and promote his own growth. He seems to remember something and stops walking suddenly. He then walks up to her and asks to borrow her beast tooth for a sec. Without hesitating, she hands the necklace with the tooth over to our protagonist. The moment he touches the beast tooth, something strange starts to happen to our young man. A system screen pops up, revealing that he has absorbed the essence of an abyssal giant butterfly, leaving him completely floored by the discovery. Later in his room that night, our guy decides to search online to see if he can find any info on the strange creature. To his surprise, the search returns 0 results, and he can't find a single thing about this so-called butterfly. Seeing that he won't get anywhere online, he decides he'll have to study the beast on his own, some other way. Then he remembers that Baichu gave him 2 beast teeth, and he goes to find them. As he holds the object again, a purple energy surrounds him, and the system shows the progress has gone up to 2%. Our MC gets a little frustrated with the result, thinking he'll need more essence to unlock the creature's guide. The next day, our young hero is giving his friend a ride on his bike as a form of training, in case they need to escape from mutants. Suddenly, a voice calls out to him, and he stops the bike to see who it is. A man introduces himself as the coach of the martial arts team and compliments his awesome recent performance in the school sports. The coach then invites him to join the martial arts team. The man insists, saying his athletic talent is incredible, and begs him to accept the invitation. The man leaves, and our boy thinks to himself that he didn't even get a chance to say no. The scene cuts to a beautiful view of the city at sunset. Our protagonist has just squashed a bug with his hands. He then realizes that the predator skill didn't activate when he took out the bug. With this question in mind, he decides to go out and test his theory somewhere else. He then grabs his bike so he can get there faster. To check his theory, he decides to go with his friend to the supermarket that sells beast meat. A short time later, they arrive at a large supermarket in the city center. Inside, he realizes he can't test his theory because all the beast meats are pre-packaged. Suddenly, he hears someone announcing freshly cut beast meat. With that, our young man spots a butcher who is cutting up fresh meat right in front of him. He then asks his companion to wait a moment and runs over to check out the meat up close. The girl is confused, but he doesn't explain a thing and quickly gets closer to touch the meat. With the truth right in front of him, he reaches out his hand to touch the meat and confirm his theory once and for all. The instant he touches it, a purple energy appears, and the young man confirms that the beast meat really does have a strong life essence. All excited, our hero celebrates and his friend asks why he's so happy just from touching a piece of meat. The girl then asks what it feels like and if it's any different from a normal steak. He replies that it's just fresher and offers to let her touch it, but she declines. Our boy then says that since they're already there, they might as well buy some to try at home. He notices his friend's shock and thinks to himself that beast meat is anything but cheap, with some seriously steep prices. Even the phantom squid, which is the cheapest, costs almost 1,000 per unit, so he decides to get that one. His companion gets worried about the price and suggests he ask his aunt before buying it. Without a worry, our protagonist gives her a pat on the head and says it's all good. He then lies, saying his mom had already asked him to buy a bunch to bring home. In his thoughts, his mom suggests sharing it with his friend's family and making a feast for everyone. Besides, he thinks absorbing the essence directly might ruin the meat, so he heads to the checkout. The cashier thanks him for his purchase, and as they leave, he thinks about how expensive that was. It was already late at night, and since things were getting dangerous, they went straight home for safety. At night, our hero is taking his friend home on his bike after a hectic day. He's thinking that chowing down on a piece of the meat only unlocked 0.1% of the squid illustration. To make matters worse, this was the cheapest beast meat he could find at the market. With that, he decides he needs to figure out a way to make some money, since he can't ask his parents. At that moment, the guy remembers that the whole point of buying the meat was to see if it would spoil. So he glances at his bike's basket and notices that some time has passed and the meat is glowing. He's stoked because the meat's quality is excellent, and the system shows a progress of 3%. But his friend screams in a panic, telling him to look ahead because someone's in their path. Our protagonist quickly slams on the brakes with all his might to avoid a nasty accident. Almost running over a couple, he apologizes for the scare while trying to get the bike under control. Our MC blames himself for being too focused on the energy absorption, and his friend points at something up ahead. Further ahead, they see a muscular man holding a woman with a knife to her throat. The police were already on the scene, telling the criminal to calm down and drop the weapon he was holding. An officer comments that the guy's a pro, and a careless shot could hit the hostage. The captain shoots down the idea of using sleep gas, since it could just tick off the criminal before taking effect. Our hero picks up a small pebble from the ground, getting ready to make a move. With insane speed, he flicks the pebble with pinpoint accuracy right at the bad guy. The pebble hits the criminal's hand, making him drop the knife and the hostage. Seizing the opportunity, the police captain yells for his team to move in. Taking advantage of the opening, the officers quickly tackle and cuff the kidnapper. The guy tries to just dip out, but his friend asks if he was the one who threw the pebble. Suddenly, the captain shouts for them to stop and asks if the kid was the one who threw the pebble. Getting nervous, the protagonist denies everything with a forced smile on his face. The officer watches them leave, finding it odd that someone wouldn't want to own up to a good deed. The captain then mentions out loud that there's a reward for the Good Samaritan. Hearing the word reward, our young man's eyes light up with dollar signs. Without a second thought, he screeches to a halt and whips the bike back toward the officer. The kid admits it was him, saying that the money is really important to him right now. After all that, they head to the police station to collect his first ever earned cash. But something unexpected happens, and the criminal starts transforming into a monster. The criminal turns into a giant rat, and an officer yells that he's a heretic, showing signs of mutation. The creature attacks without a second thought, sending a female officer flying with a single swipe. The captain orders his team to fire on the creature, but to be careful not to hit any civilians. The officers unload their guns into the monster, but the bullets have no effect, and they call for backup. Meanwhile, the protagonist's friend looks like she's not handling the whole chaotic situation very well. Our hero grabs both of them and starts running, saying that saving their own skins is the top priority. He's relieved to see the monster. He then wonders just how much of a rat king's essence he could absorb and decides there's only one way to find out. Subtly, he reaches out his hand and touches the monster's body, starting to absorb the creature's life force. He's immediately shocked by the sheer amount of power he feels flowing into him at that moment. Just then, the system alerts him that he has devoured a trace of the essence, and his guide to the giant mutant rat has reached 5%. Our hero then does a big stretch to play it cool, and the cop tells him to stay still and not move around too much in the vehicle. Over at the police station, the captain questions the kid about how he managed to hit the thug's hand with a rock from that distance. He claims it's because he's been really working on his right arm, but the officer isn't buying that answer for a second. At that moment, our hero's mom arrives with his friend's family to pick them up, and he's totally caught off guard by the visit. The woman runs frantically toward her son, yelling his name, completely beside herself with worry. She gives him a tight hug and asks if he's okay, and our young man calms her down, saying he's perfectly fine and even got a reward. His mom then makes him promise that the next time there's danger, he'll hide somewhere safe. She goes on, saying that the only thing she wants is for her son to grow up safe and sound, without a single scratch. Our hero promises he'll protect himself first, and leaves with his mom while the captain just watches the scene unfold. Two female officers are discussing the rat god cult, which is getting bolder and infiltrating universities. They say they need to take out the self-proclaimed Rat King, and our protagonist overhears the conversation and is intrigued. Back in the car, our hero looks up the rat god cult and discovers there's a ton of information online about them. He sees that the cult's main base is in the city of Shanghai, and that its members are basically societal outcasts. Continuing his research, he carefully reads every detail he can find about this mysterious organization. Suddenly, a specific piece of information catches his eye, leaving him completely stunned by what he's just read. Apparently, the Rat King wants to evolve into a higher life form and forces his followers to collect materials for him. Our hero then wonders if this creature has already developed the intelligence to come up with such complex plans. Just then, he looks out the window and spots a giant rat, which makes him ponder the creature's connection to the Rat King. But he quickly dismisses the idea, thinking that rats that size aren't that uncommon in this region. He then notices his friend is being really quiet and wonders what could be wrong with her. He looks down and realizes her legs are wet, suspecting that it might have happened again. Whenever the girl gets nervous or scared, she can't hold it in and ends up having an accident, just like when she was a kid. Our guy always suspected this could be linked to some kind of unknown potential she possesses. Arriving home, his mom notices the meat is gone and asks in shock what happened to the groceries. He quickly cooks up an excuse, saying there was an emergency and that in all the chaos, he ended up dropping the meat. His mom tells him to forget about it, saying the most important thing is that he's safe and unharmed. Our hero then breathes a sigh of relief, thinking he luckily managed to fool his mom with that lie. His dad tries to go out to look for the meat, but the boy stops him, saying the food has already gone bad, which leaves the man confused. Meanwhile, back at the station, the captain is still trying to figure out how a high school kid managed to throw a rock with so much force. He wears a serious expression, as the young man's story just didn't make any sense to him. Suddenly, a giant rat appears on top of a file cabinet right in front of him, leaving the officer completely stunned. The creature then leaps toward the officer with its sharp claws out. Without wasting a second, the captain pulls his gun and fires several shots at the monster. But it seems the bullets weren't enough, and the officer gets hit head-on by the giant creature. The next day in class, our hero lets out a bored sigh. He realizes he's still weak and needs money to buy beast meat and level up faster. He considers becoming an influencer or a private tutor, but gives up on the idea, because it would attract too much attention. Then, he remembers something important and realizes he had a completely wrong idea about how to proceed. In this world, there are martial artists and cyborgs, so our guy decides it's time to get in the game. Our hero then heads to the school gym. When he gets there, he finds Coach Gu drinking something. Our protagonist walks up and greets the coach. The coach asks if Zichin is there to join the martial arts team. The MC then asks if joining the team will give him a chance to compete in the city tournaments. The coach excitedly confirms, saying yes, and that the prizes are worth tens of thousands. With that, Zichin shakes the coach's hand and says that from this day forward, he's part of the team. The coach then calls all the team members over and announces they have a new recruit. One by one, the members introduce themselves, and our protagonist does the same. Since our hero has never trained before, the coach starts by showing him some basic punching and kicking techniques. Explains that the moves look simple, but it took even the most promising student a full week to learn them. Our protagonist then gets into a fighting stance, ready to execute the moves. Thanks to his ability, he can instantly analyze and learn all of the coach's techniques. Our guy then begins to execute all the moves perfectly. The coach is left completely shocked and speechless. The rest of the team also can't believe Zichin learned everything so quickly, with just one look. In shock, the coach realizes that our hero is a rare, one-in-a-million martial arts prodigy. We then see the city at night. In the kitchen, our hero's mother calls him for dinner. Excited, Zichin runs to the kitchen asking what's for dinner. His mom replies that it's the ghost squid he's been dreaming of eating. The smell of the food is so good it makes our protagonist's mouth water. His mother then encourages him to eat while it's still hot. She then asks if the food is good. Our hero replies that his mom's cooking is the best in the world. As he eats, the system notifies him that he has absorbed the squid's essence, and he realizes that eating the meat also works. On TV, there's a news report about a 14-year-old girl genius who became the youngest cyborg in history. Her power system allows her to lift 500 kilograms and run 100 meters in just 4 seconds. Our guy then wonders who is stronger, genetic fusion users or cyborgs. But the news is interrupted by a tragedy about the police captain who was found lifeless. Our hero wonders if this is related to the giant rats from the night before, and if the streets are getting more dangerous. With this concern in mind, he decides he needs to ramp up his training to get stronger. With heavy training, his time in the 100-meter dash is now 4.61 seconds. His vertical jump has also improved dramatically, now reaching 5.81 meters, and he can even lift 1,000 kilograms. He continues to train in martial arts to increase his strength. We see the school on a sunny day. This morning, our protagonist goes to school to train, with Han by his side. Senior girl with pink hair shows up and asks if Zichin has had breakfast yet. The girl then offers him some fresh milk as a gift. Our protagonist politely refuses and continues on his way, leaving the senior girl behind. Some guy gets furious that Zichin not only stole his championship title, but now has the nerve to refuse a gift from his goddess. The guy then steps in front of our protagonist, blocking his path. He yells at our guy for being rude to her, but the protagonist says he's allergic to milk. The bully doesn't buy it and challenges Zichin to a fight, with a bet on the line. The system then activates a new mission where our hero needs to defeat 1,000 different opponents. With a confident smile and an intimidating aura, our guy accepts the challenge. News of the fight spreads like wildfire, and the girls at school rush excitedly to watch Zichin's duel. The gym quickly fills up with a crowd curious to see the fight. One of the girls says she's going to root for our guy. The pink-haired girl also shows she's cheering for our protagonist and says she'll take lots of pictures of him. The bully gets annoyed that everyone thinks he's going to lose to a newbie. He convinces himself that he needs to crush Zichin before he gets any stronger. Facing his opponent, our hero asks to make the fight quick because he needs to get home for dinner. Will agrees with a smirk, saying he'll grant his wish. Coach Go intervenes, reminding them that friendship comes first, before giving the signal to start the match. Just as the fight is about to begin, the bully stops everything and yells for them to wait a second. He says that to be fair, he'll let our guy have the first 3 moves since he's been training for 2 years. But Zichin couldn't care less about the handicap and lunges forward. He then throws a straight right at the guy. Lands square on his face, sending him flying. The guy hits the ground, completely knocked out. Coach Go's jaw is on the floor, unable to believe the fight ended with a single punch. The rest of the team is also in shock. Hanan excitedly celebrates the crushing victory. The senior girls also cheer and praise Zichin, saying he was amazing. The system informs him that he has defeated a rival and won the affection of the girls, but there are still 999 to go. Our hero then seizes the opportunity and invites the other seniors for a friendly spar. The seniors are terrified by the invitation and try to come up with excuses to get out of it. They quickly invent excuses like having to study, go home for dinner, and even feeling sick to escape the fight. The knocked-out guy gets up and accuses our hero of using a sneak attack to win. But the coach scolds him and tells him to take the loss like a man. In his head, though, he thinks about testing Zichin's strength. So, the coach picks another member named Xiao Lizi to fight our protagonist. The chosen one is desperate but gets into a fighting stance, begging Zichin not to hit him in the face. 10 minutes later, all the seniors are lying on the floor, completely defeated. Our guy realizes that only the first fight counted toward the mission, and that friendly spars don't count. The coach approaches excitedly and praises Zichin, saying that in just 1 month, he has become the ace of the team. The coach says that with Zichin on the team, Shanghai High will crush the other schools and win this year's regional tournament. Our protagonist realizes that the tournament is the perfect chance to defeat multiple opponents in one fell swoop. He gets excited, thinking that if he defeats everyone in the competition, it will count toward his mission progress. Someone calls his name. Zheng Kai approaches and admits defeat, saying he now accepts our hero's strength without question. Everyone is shocked and disgusted by Zheng Kai's the top declaration. He tries to keep talking but realizes everyone has run off, leaving him alone. We see our protagonist running on the track with Han. After running 3,000 meters, they practice martial arts for an hour. They do sit-ups and push-ups to increase their strength and physical endurance. Hanan continues the heavy training. After each session, Zichin helps Han relieve her muscle tension with a massage. He also trains intensely, preparing for the tournament and to unlock his ability as quickly as possible. A month goes by and the day of the long-awaited tournament finally arrives. In the city's grand gymnasium, the tournament is about to begin, with the arena packed with spectators. In the waiting area, Coach Go is nervous because they're about to face the strongest team of all. One of the team members says they're toast because the opposing team has a super fast guy. At that moment, Zichin raises his hand and volunteers to fight first. The coach agrees with the idea and decides that our protagonist will be the first to fight, and the coach cheer enthusiastically. Then his opponent stumps hard on the ground. And a huge guy appears. He says he saw Zichin's name on the list and commends him for entering the tournament. But he quickly scoffs, saying the ring is no place for a short first year like him. The brute shows off and says he's going to show Zichin what a real difference in size and power looks like. The referee then gives the signal, and the duel finally begins. The giant opponent charges at Zichin with full force. However, our protagonist effortlessly dodges the attack, surprising the big guy. With that, Zichin takes advantage of the opening and lands an open palm strike to his chest. Power of the palm strike is so strong that the big guy is sent flying and is knocked out instantly. The shocked referee announces Lin Zichin as the winner. celebrates the victory wildly. The entire team also goes crazy over the overwhelming win. Meanwhile, the opposing team's coach scolds the big guy for being so rigid and not using his footwork correctly. A system notification pops up, saying he has defeated another rival and his tournament ranking has improved. The opposing coach then picks a boy named Chen Feng and tells him to crush the protagonist as quickly as possible. Chen Feng steps into the arena and assumes his fighting stance. The referee once again gives the signal to start the match. Chen Feng lunges forward with a rapid sequence of kicks at Zichen. But our hero dodges all the blows with ease and counters with another palm strike to Chen Feng's side. Palm strike once again sends another extra flying out of the arena like a tornado. He then hits the ground, already knocked out. The paramedics rush over to take him to the hospital, as he seems to have hit his head hard. The crowd is confused and murmurs about Zichen's luck. However, the opposing team's coach realizes it wasn't luck and that Zichen is a true prodigy. The opposing coach picks Gao Fei and instructs him to focus on defense as he absolutely cannot lose. But a confident Gao Fei tells him not to worry, because he's going to win. He thinks Zichen isn't strong and just uses tricks to win, and since he's more experienced and faster, he'll come out on top. The audience gets excited because they've heard that Gao Fei is super fast and that the protagonist is in trouble. The referee then yells for the duel to begin. Gao Fei quickly closes in on our protagonist with a swift punch. He then uses a multiple punch technique called the rock, breaking water flow fist. The coach is furious and yells, "Why are you attacking when I told you to defend?" Our hero observes the fist technique, finding it interesting, and decides to learn it while Zhao Fei says that a genius doesn't need defense. Zhao Fei starts to get desperate as he fails to land a single hit on Zichen. He then yells and asks how Zichen is dodging everything, while our guy taunts him, asking if he has any more tricks up his sleeve. Annoyed by the taunt, Zhao Fei attacks with everything he's got, using his punch technique once more. But Zichen is already bored and says he's going to end this, landing a perfectly aimed kick on Zhao Fei. The crowd's jaws drop in disbelief. Our protagonist team celebrates the third consecutive victory. The next opponents were even weaker than the last ones. Our protagonist quickly eliminated all 5 members of the opposing Shanghai team single-handedly. Over the next 2 days, he took down 2 more entire schools all by himself. With that, Zichen led his team to victory, and they became the champions of the 8-school tournament. The system informs him that he has eliminated a total of 16 rivals, but he still needs to defeat many more to complete the mission. And to his surprise, Coach Go hands him the largest share of the prize money, a total of 20,000. Zichen is thrilled because with this and the money from other competitions, he has saved up 30,000 yuan. But that cash didn't last long, as he spent it all on special food for his training. During dinner, he eats a large amount of squid meat, and his codex progress reaches 33%. By the time he reaches his second year, he can already lift 1,090 kilograms, jump 5 meters, and run 100 meters in 4 seconds. Time passes, and soon our hero and Han graduate from middle school. However, Han is sad because her martial arts scores weren't high enough to get into the elite class. She asks how this is possible since she trained so hard, while Zichen remains silent. The girl gets even more upset because the principal is going to visit her house, and she thinks it's to beg her not to stay at the school. But our hero comforts her, saying that the only condition for him to stay at the school is for her to be his classmate. Han recounts that the principal came to her house to talk with them for several hours. The woman then stands up and says they've discussed everything they needed to. She adds that Zichen can ask for anything he wants, as long as he agrees to go to their school. Our hero thanks her and makes a single request that his friend Han continues to study in the same class as him. The principal stares at Han and asks if her name is really Shen Qing'an, making the girl nervous. Then, the principal agrees and tells them both to come to Shanghai High together when classes start. The 2 friends are overjoyed and thank the principal. That our protagonist won another martial arts championship for the school. Our hero then uses the prize money to fulfill his earlier wish. He goes to the forest because the squid codex is at 80%, and with the money, he bought more meat to max it out. The system alerts him that he has devoured a large amount of squid essence, and a blue aura begins to emanate from his body. With that, the Phantom Shadow Squid Codex reaches 100%. He successfully unlocked the codex and obtained the Blessing of Liquid Affinity attribute. Our guy is a bit disappointed, as he was expecting something more impressive. He tests the power in a nearby pond and notices that his skin doesn't wrinkle and he can swim more easily, but that's about it. He figures that since the squid is a low-level beast, he shouldn't have expected much, but he was hoping for better attributes. Or he can wait until he's strong enough to hunt wild mutant beasts and devour them to get stronger. Our protagonist clenches his fist, determined to become even more powerful. Since there was less than a week before school started, Zichen's and Han's families decided to take a trip to the beach together. Upon entering the water, Han complains that the seawater is too cold. Zichen reassures her, saying it's always like that at first, but she'll get used to it. Then he starts swimming with his new ability. The girl then asks him not to swim alone and to teach her how to swim too, since she still doesn't know how. Our hero remembers that his friend still can't swim. patiently starts teaching Han, but thinks she won't learn quickly due to her average athletic talent. But to his surprise, the girl learns to swim almost instantly. Suddenly, Han dives headfirst into the water. She's surprised that she can suddenly dive and opens her eyes underwater without any problem. She suddenly shoots up, startling the protagonist. She says it's amazing and that she feels no discomfort opening her eyes underwater, finding the sensation great. Zikin is pensive, finding it very strange that she learned to swim so quickly. Suddenly, he realizes something and is startled by the possibility. Watches her swim a little longer. Then Zikin wonders if the reason Han used to wet the bed is that she was born with an affinity for water. Our protagonist gets excited about the possibility of her having a special cultivation body, just like in Xiangxia novels. The two continue diving, and Han's performance shocks Zikin even more. They manage to hold their breath for over 10 minutes, which is impressive even for someone who is trained. Swims peacefully. But suddenly, a strange sound echoes through the water, making Han curious. Zikin hears it too, so they start swimming to the surface. They surface and take a breath. Back on the beach, she asks what happened. She explains that she was hearing strange sounds and got scared. The girl says it was a female voice speaking a language she didn't understand, and it only stopped when she surfaced. To calm her down, Zichen takes her back to the hotel and searches online for what she described but finds nothing. Since he couldn't sleep, our hero decides to train and does 1,000 sit-ups. The system announces that his biological level has advanced to the 5th common level and that he can now face an adult mutant rat. After leveling up, he goes to the beach to test his new stats and now runs 100 meters in 3.64 seconds. His vertical jump now reaches almost 7 meters high. With this, our protagonist can lift a 1,600 kilogram car with one hand. With this progress, he finally begins his high school life alongside Han. Girls comment on how handsome Zichen is and are happy to be in the same class as him. To his surprise, a class assignment activates a new mission where he needs to complete 1,000 tasks to gain a new attribute. Since things were quiet at school, he takes the opportunity to stop by the supermarket. Now that the Squid Codex has been unlocked, it's time to choose a new target to devour. He looks at the meat options. He's surprised. He finds a package with the meat of a wild giant eagle. Our hero smiles with satisfaction and decides this will be his next choice. The wild giant eagle is a mutant beast of a slightly higher level than the previous one Zichen devoured. Its vision is exceptionally sharp, being up to 30 times more powerful than that of an average human. Its hunting skills are top tier, and even fast mutant rabbits can be caught by it with precision. Because of its strong vision, it can greatly improve combat capability and is well worth unlocking its codex. The system announces that the protagonist has devoured a trace of the giant eagle's essence, and its codex is at 1%. With this, he calculates that for every 1% of the codex, he'll need 200,000 yuan to unlock everything. Our guy realizes he'll need to work even harder in high school to earn money in tournaments. Summer vacation finally ends, and Zichen begins his life at the new high school called Shanghai. On the very first day, the teachers begin by introducing themselves to the class and explaining their subjects. A girl named Chu Yuxi introduces herself, saying her hobbies are gyukin, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Shortly after, another girl named Zhang Yiji introduces herself and says she likes watching anime and cosplaying. A boy named Peng Hoguang introduces himself, saying he likes staying at home and playing video games. Then it's Han's turn to introduce herself, but she gets extremely nervous with so many people watching. Very shyly, she introduces herself, saying her name is Shen Qinghan and that she likes to draw. Finally, it's Zikin's turn, and he gives the shortest introduction of the class, presenting himself very simply. After everyone has introduced themselves, the bell rings, and a girl approaches Han to talk. The classmate asks what Han's score was on the entrance exam, making the protagonist's friend nervous. Han replies that she got 709 points and asks for the classmate's score, whose name is Chuxin. Chuxin is surprised and says that Han's score is more than 10 points higher than hers. She then asks about the physical test and says she did poorly, getting only 95 points. Han feels awkward and says her score was only 79, 21 points short of a perfect score. But the classmate insists and asks if she got 94 or 93 points. Protagonist's friend replies that it was a little less, but the other girl keeps insisting. She continues asking if it was 92 or 91, making Han uncomfortable. Suddenly, Zikin places his hand on Chuxin's desk, startling her. Our protagonist takes the opportunity to ask for the girl's contact info, making her blush. That Han is relieved as Zichen saved her from an embarrassing situation. Our shortly after also adds another classmate named Yu. After adding his new friends, he creates a 4-person chat group called the Dawn Squad. With that, the system announces that he has created a collaboration team and completed another group task. Yu is from the neighboring city of Nangguan, and his family has been running martial arts schools for generations. Chuxin's family, on the other hand, owns a chain of clothing stores, and she's a rich girl with stores all over the district. The four quickly became inseparable friends, spending their time together in the classroom. At one point, Yu asks his friends who they think is the strongest in the class. Chuxin quickly replies that it's Zichen because he got the highest score in the district on the entrance exam. The friend is shocked to hear about the protagonist's feat and calls him insane. But Hiyu explains that being the top student isn't enough because there are two monsters in the class. Hiyu says there's a guy named Wang Shuji who runs 100 meters in 7.98 seconds. And there's also a big guy named Lu Gang who can lift 300 kilograms with one hand. Everyone is impressed by their strength, but our protagonist is relieved because those were his stats back in middle school. The bell rings again, and the textbooks are distributed. Since he has already studied everything on his own, Zichen uses the free time to train in a quiet place. Zichen knows he needs to keep leveling up to be able to face the mutant rat king head-on. That afternoon, the first class was wilderness survival, and the teacher asks who knows how to make fire by friction. Hiyu comments that no one would learn a skill like that in their free time because it's basically useless. To everyone's surprise, Wang Shuji and Lu Gang start making fire by friction. The teacher is impressed and asks how they know how to do that. Lu Gang explains that he took an extracurricular course over the summer, and Wang Shuji says he learned online in middle school. After the two show off, Zichen teaches the rest of his group how to start a fire as well. In martial arts cultivation class, the teacher begins to teach a special breathing technique. But the duo from Nangwon already knew everything, and the class turned into their personal show-off festival. A month passes quickly, and the teacher announces that it's time to test everyone's progress. He announces that the exam will have cash rewards for the top 3 places. Our protagonist gets excited when he learns that first place wins 888 yuan. With the reward on the line, everyone gets excited to take the exam. Not only that, but the genetic fusion teacher, Liu Darren, also administers a test with the same rewards. Hiyu finishes the exam exhausted and says it's finally over. The students start complaining about the difficulty of the test, with very specific and tough questions. While everyone complains, the Nangwon duo starts showing off again. Hiyu gets annoyed with their showboating and feels like punching them. The teacher announces that the grades for the mechanical augmentation test are out. Chuxin is thrilled to find out she passed and celebrates with Zichen. The teacher continues reading the grades, and Hiyu gets 88 points, surprising everyone. Hiyu is full of pride and promises to treat the group to a meal when he receives the third-place prize. The teacher announces that Lu Gang and Wang Shuji both scored 95 points. The Nangwon duo starts bragging, saying that if they had 10 more minutes, they would have gotten a perfect score. Hiyu is annoyed by their showboating but believes third place is still his. But the teacher says that someone in the class got a perfect score and announces that Zichen aced the test. Everyone is in shock to learn that our protagonist got 100 points and the Nangwon duo is in disbelief. Hiyu is annoyed that Zichen knocked him out of third place. But the group congratulates our hero on his achievement. Our guy raises his hand and asks when the 888 yuan prize will be distributed. The teacher replies that he will send the prize to the class group chat and wonders why Zichen cares so much about money. An hour later, the genetic fusion teacher also announces the exam results. The Nangwon duo scores 81 and 83 points but are dissatisfied with their grades. Meanwhile, Hanan gets 78 points, placing her in the top 5 of the class. And once again, our hero aces the test, winning another prize while the Nangwon duo is outraged. The two raise their hands and accuse Zichen of cheating, saying it's impossible for someone to get a perfect score so many times. Teacher Liu Darren looks serious as he created the exam questions himself. With that, he confirms that the questions were made by him and there's no way to cheat. Hiyu and Chuxin laugh at the Nangwon duo and call them a disgrace for accusing our guy. The afternoon arrives and the class begins the wilderness survival exam. The teacher explains that the rewards are the same as the other tests and details the tasks. Wang Shuji says they need to redeem themselves and defeat Zichen in this exam. Lu Gang agrees and says he's going all out to crush our protagonist. The test begins with rock and tree climbing, and Zichen easily takes first place. He leaves the Nangwon duo in the dust, who are impressed by his speed. But our hero is more worried about Han, who finished last in the climbing event. Right after climbing, they start swimming, among other tests, but the protagonist always comes in first. A month passes, and the martial arts teacher announces it's time to test everyone's progress. The Nangwon duo gets excited because this is their chance to show off and finally beat Zigen. Before the fights, teacher Han Yuanfeng conducts a warm-up with a 3-part physical test. In the 100-meter dash, our guy clocks in at 7.78 seconds. In the one-handed weightlifting, Zichen manages to lift 330 kilograms. And in the vertical jump, he reaches 2.18 meters, placing first in all 3 tests. The Nangwon duo is shocked by the protagonist's strength. But Wang Shuji tells Lu Gang not to get discouraged, because they still have a chance in the fights. After the test, everyone heads to the dueling area in the gym. To finish the test quickly, our hero steps into the ring first. Seeing that no one is challenging the protagonist, the teacher calls a student named Lu Wei to fight Zichen. Gets into the ring and prepares for combat. To save time, Zichen decides to end the fight quickly and knocks out Lu Wei with a single blow. And our guy continues to defeat all his opponents with just one punch. He defeats everyone in the class quickly, even before the bell rings. The Nangwon duo is completely shocked and realizes that Zichen is much stronger than they thought. Seeing that there are no more opponents for the protagonist, He Yu calls out for Lu Gang. He Yu challenges Lu Gang to a fight, saying he's warmed up and at his peak. At this, Lu Gang says he'll defeat him in 30 seconds to avoid fighting Zikin. So He Yu accepts the challenge and lunges forward to attack Lu Gang. But Lu Gang is stronger and manages to dodge all of He Yu's attacks. After open, Lu Gang manages to grab He Yu's leg. Gang then starts spinning He Yu in the air. He Yu is thrown out of the ring and lands on the ground, defeated. With the defeat, he ends up throwing up. Lu Gang praises He Yu's technique but says he's still on a higher level. Zikin invites Lu Gang to fight. Lu Gang accepts. He advances with a powerful punch, trying to hit Zikin. But our protagonist is much faster and sees Lu Gang moving in slow motion. So he dodges Lu Gang's attack, making him miss completely. Then the protagonist kicks him out of the ring. At this, the students taunt Wang Shuji, saying that Nangwen's pride is at stake and he needs to avenge his friend. So Wang Shuji yells for everyone to shut up and jumps into the ring. Wang Shuji knows the fight is inevitable and starts thinking of a way to defeat Zikin. Wang Shuji yells that he's going all out and lunges forward with a punch at our protagonist. Is much faster and counterattacks. With a single punch, our hero lifts Wang Shuji off the ground, and he falls to the floor, knocked out and utterly defeated. Zikin begins to defeat the rest of the boys in the class one by one. Our guy continues to take down everyone without any difficulty. None of the other students can even touch our protagonist. Zikin then thinks about the rules and realizes he can only fight the girls now. He wonders if any of them would be willing to fight him. Unexpectedly, a purple-haired girl raises her hand and challenges him. The girl then jumps into the ring with a flying attack to try and surprise him. Our hero is surprised by her speed but manages to dodge and land a blow on her back. She regrets not being able to grab him and is frustrated with the loss. After that, the other girls also start voluntarily challenging Zikin to try and get close to him. Our protagonist foils the girls' plans, easily defeating them one by one. After finishing the fights, teacher Han Yuanfeng announces that in a month, the class will challenge the strongest class of the second year. Our protagonist is excited by the news, as this is a great chance to speed up his progress. After class, Lu Gang tells Zikin that he will be his rival for the next 3 years of school. Wang Shuji appears and vows that one day he will get revenge for the humiliation he suffered. The duo is indignant as our hero ignores them. In his thoughts, he's just celebrating having won over 3,000 yuan. Falls on the city of Shanghai. He thinks that although he earned a good amount of money, it's still not enough to buy beast meat. To earn more money, he decides to register as a web novel author and start writing. Soon after, he receives a message from an editor offering him a contract for his novel. He accepts the contract, but when he checks the news, he sees something shocking. A giant mutant rat over 5 meters long attacked a cyborg and ripped it in two. The cyborg then activated its self-destruct power core to take the monster down with it. The explosion was so powerful that the giant mutant rat was completely destroyed. Our hero gets worried and wonders how many more of these giant rats are hiding in the city. In the school gym, Han Yuanfeng discusses fighting strategy with his elite students. Teacher Han Yuanfeng explains that the opposing fighters aren't that good individually, but their class is stronger overall. So the instructor warns that they will try to end the fights quickly to avoid getting worn down. Wanting to fight as soon as possible, our protagonist offers to go first. His opponent is terrified because she has to face the strongest student from the other class while being the weakest in her own. The second-year teacher is indignant and accuses Han Yuanfeng of breaking the unwritten rule of sending the weakest student first. So, the instructor agrees to the rules and tells Zikin to get out of the ring so the weaker students can fight first. Our with no hero steps down from the ring, disappointed. Han Yuanfeng chooses a girl named Yuntong to go first, but she says she's not ready. Hanan offers to fight in Yuntong's place since she is the weakest in the class. The protagonist's childhood friend gets into the ring and becomes very nervous. The class starts shouting and cheering for Han to support her. But the cheering only makes her more nervous. Seeing Han's hesitation, her opponent seizes the chance and lunges forward with a flying punch. She manages to land a series of blows on Han, who is forced onto the defensive. Even knowing she can't win, Han decides to hold out as long as possible to tire out her opponent. 3 minutes pass and the opponent realizes that Han is very resilient and she's running out of breath. So she decides to end the fight quickly and lands a powerful kick on Han. Our protagonist's childhood friend falls to the ground, defeated. Han gets up and runs to the instructor like the road runner. Teacher Han Yuanfeng praises her, saying her tactic of focusing on defense and wearing down the opponent was very smart. Our protagonist also congratulates her for lasting more than 3 minutes against a senior with an extra year of training. In the next fight, the student Chuksan gets into the ring to face the same opponent, who is now tired. She lunges forward with a high kick, but the senior manages to defend against the attack and counter. She lands a blow to Chuksan's chin, dazing her. The senior pins Chuksan to the ground and makes her surrender. She mocks Chuksan for attacking without defense and calls her arrogant, and says she may not have the same talent, but she has an extra year of training. Leaves the ring defeated. Yuntong steps to the ring and vows to avenge her friend's defeat. Confidently, she advances against the senior and, apparently, somehow managed to win. It's wildly for Yuntong's victory. With that, our protagonist praises Han Han, saying that Yuntong's victory was only possible because she tired out the opponent. 2 hours later, the rival teacher taunts Han Yuanfeng, saying his class only has 4 students left and he's already won the bet. Han Yuanfeng confidently replies that the real fight is just beginning. The teacher then sends He Yu into the ring and tells him to show what he's made of. He then leaps into the ring. He says he's fired up and asks his opponent if he's ready to face his stone fists. The senior scoffs at him and tells him to stop being so pretentious and cringy. Annoyed that his moment was ruined, He Yu lunges forward and lands a powerful kick on the senior. The second-year opponent falls to the ground knocked out. He Yu then insults the fallen guy, calling him trash and an idiot. But then another opponent enters the ring. Arriving for the next fight, a senior with purple hair gets into the ring and calls He Yu an arrogant brat. The new opponent says he'll show him what real strength is and attacks. The senior is shocked by He Yu's speed, as he managed to dodge his attack. He Yu counters with a powerful kick and hits the senior square on. The second-year opponent falls to the ground. The girls in the class cheer and shout excitedly for He Yu's victory. He continues his winning streak and takes down several opponents in a row. He Yu continues to dominate the fights and defeats another senior. The winning streak continues with He Yu easily defeating another opponent. Seeing that no one is a match for him, He Yu taunts them, saying he can still take on 10 more opponents. Unfortunately, He Yu ends up being defeated in his 6th match as he was already exhausted. The teacher then sends Wang Shuji into the ring to continue the fight. Wang Shuji enters the ring, ready to fight. Without wasting time, he defeats 10 opponents in a row with impressive strength. But in the 11th match, Wang Shuji is defeated due to exhaustion. Lu Gang steps into the ring and defeats 2 seniors in less than 10 minutes. He continues his knockout streak and wins more fights. The second-year teacher taunts them, saying there's only one person left and asks if they want to give up. With a confident smile, Han Yuanfeng replies no and calls on his trump card, Wang Jinny, to fight. A giant boy named Wang Jinny steps into the ring and faces Lu Gang. Lu Gang is not intimidated by his opponent's size. Believing in his own strength, Lu Gang charges forward, saying he's going to crush him. He lands a powerful punch right in the middle of Wang Jinny's stomach. Lu Gang is confused because his punch felt like hitting rubber and caused no damage. He then tries a series of rapid punches to try and take down the marshmallow. But none of his blows work and Lu Gang realizes he can't even move his opponent. Wang Jin then says it's his turn to attack. With terrifying strength, he grabs Lu Gang by the neck and lifts him into the air. He simply throws him out of the ring with impressive ease. The rival teacher is shocked and asks Han Yuanfeng where such a strong student came from. Han Yuanfeng explains that Wang Jin is a transfer student, which is why he doesn't know him. The second-year teacher panics, realizing he's going to lose the bet. Then teacher Han Yuanfeng calls Zichen and says it's his turn to fight and gain experience, and not to worry if he gets defeated. With a confident smile, our hero replies that the teacher doesn't need to worry because he's going to win. Wang Jin underestimates our protagonist for being thin and introduces himself as someone who never bullies the weak. The girls in the class scream and cheer for Zichen while trash-talking the MC's rival. The chubby guy is clearly annoyed by the insults, but he decides to be a gentleman and says he will stand still for 10 moves. He does this so that our hero's fans won't accuse him of bullying the weak. Our protagonist casually agrees to the proposal. Then Wang Jin challenges him to attack with full force. Without hesitation, our guy lunges forward and lands a punch with all his strength on his opponent's stomach. The impact is so strong that the big guy goes flying as if he were a balloon. Wang Jin hits the ground with a tremendous impact that must have caused an earthquake in some country. Everyone falls silent, shocked by the outcome of the fight. Suddenly, the entire class erupts in celebration for Zichen's victory. The giant boy wakes up confused, wondering what happened and how he was defeated so easily. The rival teacher praises Zichen, saying he's insane for knocking out Wang Jinny with one punch. But teacher Han Yunfeng disagrees, saying the real monster was some guy named Wu Tianqing. At this, our protagonist approaches and asks who this Wu Tianqing guy is. The teacher explains that Wu Tianqing was a senior who, in his first year, defeated the entire elite class of the third year. He says the guy was a monster capable of running 100 meters in 6 seconds and lifting 650 kilograms with one hand. Our hero then smiles and says he's a little scared by this story, but we know that's not true. The scene cuts to the entrance of a fancy restaurant. A classmate raises a toast and thanks Zichen for the victory over the second years. Everyone celebrates and toasts our protagonist's victory, who is now the hero of the class. The classmates now approach Zichen, asking for training tips and his contact info. But Han Han stays by our hero's side, serving food on his plate so he doesn't get distracted. She keeps staring intently at our guy. But suddenly, she says she needs to go to the restroom. Our protagonist watches Han Han as she leaves. As she gets near the restroom, Han Han overhears 2 girls talking badly about her behind her back. They question how Han Han got into the elite class and call her Zichen's suck-up. Anoin appears and says she's not a suck-up. She turns around and proudly declares that she is his childhood friend. Our hero notices that Han Han is sad and asks what happened. The girl vents, saying her mother always told her she would stop wetting the bed when she grew up. But she reveals that she still has to wear diapers to bed every night, which really annoys her. Sadly, she says she feels like a disabled person for not being able to hold it in. Zikin looks at her seriously and says she is not disabled in any way. He holds her by the shoulders and explains that not being able to hold her urine is actually her superpower. Confused, our protagonist then claims that her affinity for water is a manifestation of her power. Hanan then asks if Zichen also has a superpower, since he has always been very strong. With a smile, our guy confirms that just like her, he also has a superpower. Curious, she wonders what kind of superpower our protagonist would have. Zikin replies that it's definitely a very strong superpower. Suddenly, our protagonist gets a serious look in his eyes. When they arrive at a building, they see a group of men with brooms trying to kill rats. A fat man panics and yells at them to stop hurting his brothers. He gets furious and screams that he's going to finish them for hurting his rodent friends. In an uncontrolled rage, the man charges forward with a broom to attack the exterminators. Hanan asks if the man is crazy, and our hero replies that he seems to have some mental issues. Our protagonist says it's better for them to go home, and the two leave hand in hand. Then we go to Zikin's house, where his family is gathered. On the television, the news reports the disappearance of a young female teacher the previous week. Zikin's mother worries about the disappearances and asks if it's already the 4th case this month. Our guy's father corrects her, saying it's actually the 5th case. The news reports that all 5 missing women are young and beautiful. Worried, Zikin's mother asks him not to let Han go out alone at night. We see the Shanghai City police station. A man in a white lab coat enters a room where the rat guy from the previous day is being interrogated. The officer asks the doctor if the man is a mental patient, but the doctor says he's not sure yet. The officer is confused and says the man wouldn't stop screaming at the market. The guard then looks into the interrogation room. Suddenly, a dark energy begins to emanate from the man. The guy then transforms into a giant rat, and the doctor screams for backup and a mechanical cyborg to help. The officers fire relentlessly at the monster. A woman informs them that HQ has advised that all cyborgs are on a mission and backup will be delayed. Desperate, he yells for the team to flee and lure the beast to the suburbs to buy time. The blue-haired officer then gets into the car to escape. Beside her, another agent takes the wheel. They floor it to lure the giant rat until backup arrives. They speed through the tunnel at high velocity. The giant creature pursues them, destroying everything in its path. With the debris from its destruction, the rat manages to hit the police car, causing it to flip over. Haired officer is trapped upside down, completely injured. The giant rat approaches the wrecked car. Last second, an explosion hits the monster. A mysterious cyborg descends from the sky and begins firing projectiles at the creature. She gives the attack order and multiple projectiles fly out. The cyborg realizes the monster dug a hole and escaped, but it's wounded and can be tracked. It's already 3 in the morning in the city, and the streets are empty. We see Zikin, who is awake working on his novel. He then decides to go out to test the results of his training. Our hero leaps between buildings with impressive speed. The boy realizes his strength and agility have greatly improved. Our protagonist is satisfied with his progress. Suddenly, he hears a strange noise coming from an alley. Zikin sees a creature devouring something and apologizing for being hungry. Our protagonist remembers the news about the mutant rat and wonders if it's the same creature. He decides he needs to alert the police, but the monster notices the protagonist. The creature then decides to attack him at an impressive speed. Zikin dodges the attacks and counters with a powerful kick. The monster is sent flying by the blow. The creature is shocked by the strength of a student. It observes the protagonist and becomes more cautious. But before it could do anything, the protagonist throws a rock at the creature's head, and he quickly starts launching hundreds of rocks, one after another, at the monster. Then, in the blink of an eye, the monster is completely torn apart by the protagonist's stone projectiles. After turning the creature into mush, the protagonist is relieved that it has stopped moving. With the creature defeated, Zichen wonders if it's really gone. A system message appears, informing him that he has devoured a trace of the mutant rat's life source. Our protagonist then decides to leave before anyone else shows up. In the meantime, the cyborg who was hunting the monster finally arrives at the scene. She finds the remains of the creature and wonders who was responsible for this. Elsewhere in the city, a strange cult gathers in an abandoned building. A hooded man carries an unconscious woman. He throws her into the center of the circle and offers her to his rat god. But a dark entity emerges, complaining that just one woman is not enough to satisfy its hunger. The man kneels desperately, begging his master for forgiveness. The man then explains that it's been difficult to find girls alone lately because they travel in groups. The dark entity orders that if there are no women, he must capture young men for the next sacrifice. The servant bows in submission, agreeing. Suddenly, a piece of meat is thrown in front of the hooded man. He thanks his god's blessing and begins to devour the raw meat. In the abandoned building, the woman is enveloped by a strange tongue. The dark entity then devours the poor young woman. After finishing its meal, the creature lets out a satisfied burp. The entity warns that next time it wants to eat nobles because their meat is more tender. Meanwhile, our hero helps his friend Han train in martial arts. He teaches her that her legs are too close together and that she needs to open them a bit more. Zikin also adjusts the girl's posture and advises her not to face her opponent head on. He asks her to put it into practice. Han prepares and charges at the protagonist. He blocks the attack and praises her, saying her angle and force have improved a lot. The girl follows up with a kick. But Zikin defends it with ease. He points out that her kicking form is wrong and that she should spread her legs wider before kicking. She tries a few more punches, but they are easily defended. After the intense training, Han is exhausted but feels that her strength has improved significantly. She suggests they train every day, but Zikin says 3 times a week is enough. He jokes that if they trained every day, she wouldn't be able to handle it. At that moment, our guy's phone rings. Curious asks if it's any important news. The news reports that the Jishin Corporation will offer free treatment to prodigy girls. Another news story talks about a genius who fused with a spider gene and is breaking school records. He wonders if gene fusion would really be the best choice for his future. Back at Zikin's house, our hero is once again working on his novel. The comments from his readers are very positive, praising his writing speed. He thinks that with his new abilities, he can write 10,000 words per hour. Just then, his father appears, praising the book and saying he could make a lot of money. Our protagonist thinks that with this cash, he'll be able to unlock new beast codexes. The next day in martial arts class, teacher Han Yuanfeng organizes a training session. As always, destroys all his opponents with ease. He demonstrates an impressive fighting ability, perfectly dodging and counter-attacking. None of the students can even land a single blow. After winning, he earns 888 yuan and experience points from the system. On the other side of the court, Han and her friend watch the training, envious of our hero's strength. But unlike before, Zikin's childhood friend can now fight back and defend herself. This time, she manages to fight for almost 3 minutes, exchanging punches and kicks. Teacher Han Yuanfeng is impressed with her improvement and congratulates her. The teacher then gathers the class and motivates them for the challenge against the elite class. With the challenge accepted, the teacher congratulates the class on their fighting spirit. A month passed, and Zikin earned 80,000 yuan from his novel. Our protagonist goes to a store to buy giant eagle meat. The saleswoman offers a 5% discount on a purchase of 100 jin. But he declines because he still doesn't have enough. At school, Han invites him to lunch. Hanan takes him to a new section of the cafeteria. He is impressed by the variety of dishes and the skill of the chefs. The two sit down to eat, and Zikin compliments the smell of the food. They get their trays with a meal. Our hero's childhood friend comments that it was good they arrived early to avoid the line. Suddenly, they hear an argument about someone cutting in line. Han gets worried and asks if they should go see what's happening, but Zikin notices the fight is already resolving itself. Yu has handled the matter while the bully curses him out. Then the extra approaches some other extras, and they start whispering. The bullies surround Yu and provoke him, saying they are going to cut the line. With that, Yu gets angry and yells at them to go to the back of the line. But the bullies are not intimidated. Yu then tries to stop the bullies from passing, but it's useless. Hanan realizes Yu is in trouble and Zikin decides to intervene. Our protagonist approaches and asks the bully to get in line properly. The bully challenges him, asking what he'll do if he doesn't obey. Zikin simply takes out his phone and threatens to report him. The bully is outraged and calls him shameless for wanting to snitch. Our hero replies that cutting in line is even more shameless. With nothing else to do, the bully and his friends leave, annoyed. In a luxurious mansion, a cult gathers. The leader informs them that She Chiang, one of their members, has been eliminated. He then introduces a new member to replace the old one. The leader reveals that the rat god no longer wants common people because their flesh is bitter. One of the cult members warns that kidnapping nobles is very risky. The leader then suggests they focus on the children of rich, powerless merchants. He turns to the new member and instructs him to start with a handsome young man as practice. The newcomer accepts the mission and promises to offer a handsome boy from the city. The next day, Yu tells Zijin that the guys who cut the line were from the second-year elite class. Our hero then says that good grades don't mean they are good people. Shortly after, Zichen receives a notification about another disappearance. He reads the news and discovers it's the 5th case of a wealthy heir going missing. Our protagonist suspects these disappearances are linked to the rat god cult. The day of the challenge arrives and Zichen's class prepares to face the elite class. The bullies from the line look at Yu with contempt and flip him the bird. Unfazed, Yu responds with the same rude gesture, further angering the bullies. The first fight begins, and Shen Qingyan from Zichen's class steps into the ring. Her opponent lunges into an attack with a flying kick. The blow hits Shen Qingyan squarely, throwing her back violently. The girl tries to defend herself, but the senior is too strong and throws her to the ground. Shortly after, other students from Zichen's class enter the ring, but they are all defeated. The brown-haired girl lands a strong kick on another student, knocking her out. No student from Zichen's class manages to even land a single blow, until a shorter, more muscular classmate steps into the ring, but is easily knocked out. Shortly after, a red-haired senior enters the ring and quickly takes control of the fight. In less than 10 minutes, she defeats 9 people from Zichen's class, including 3 boys. Now only 4 students remain in Zichen's class: Zichen himself, Yu, Lu Gang, and Wang Shuji. The elite class has only lost 5 female students and still has 36 students left. Wang Shuji realizes the difference in strength is too great and the situation is desperate. He then calls Hiyu and asks if he can defeat the remaining 6 girls. Hiyu confidently replies, "Easy," and steps into the ring ready for the fight. He imagines himself fighting the girls and beating them all with a smile on his face. With a single move, Hiyu takes down the first girl and yells that it's handled. The boy does not disappoint, and with some effort, he knocks out all 6 girls in the ring. Soon after, one of the bullies who cut the line steps into the ring to face Hiyu. The bully taunts him and asks if he's ready to perish. Hiyu calls him rude and says he's going to get revenge for him cutting the line. The bully charges forward to attack, but Hiyu is caught off guard and takes a strong punch to the stomach. Hiyu kneels in pain, impressed by the speed and force of the blow. The bully taunts him, saying he's weak and should admit defeat. The bully then tries to kick him, but Hiyu gets up and pushes him away. He then lands a strong kick on Hiyu, knocking him to the ground. Hiyu then tumbles out of the ring. Hiyu falls to the ground defeated and admits he let his guard down because of his desire for revenge. With that, the bully challenges Zichen to a fight since he likes to meddle. Our hero accepts the challenge and leaps into the ring. Zichen thinks this is the perfect chance he's been waiting for to fight. His classmates encourage him and ask him to avenge Hiyu. The bully then runs towards Zichen. The bully then throws a kick at the protagonist. Our protagonist defends the extra's blow with just one hand. And with a single blow, our hero throws the extra to the ground. The extra lies unconscious on the floor. Zichen steps over him just as he did to Hiyu. He then kicks him out of the ring. They can't believe that Chiayu, one of the top 5 in their class, was defeated instantly. The elite class representative realizes that Zichen was hiding his true strength. Hiyu's classmates are shocked and wonder if our hero is even human. Zichen then faces the rest of the elite class and asks who's next. The students are terrified and back away, afraid of our protagonist's power. 30 minutes later, all 29 remaining students from the elite class have been defeated. Our hero looks at the system and sees that he has eliminated 119 opponents out of 1,000. He decides he can no longer follow the school rules because his strength is far superior. On Monday, our hero goes to the principal's office to make a request. Zichen asks to hold a personal challenge with rewards against the entire school. The principal is shocked by the request and questions Zichen's audacity to challenge the whole school. Our hero then says he can prove his strength and asks the principal to go to the gym with him. That the two head to the gym so our protagonist can show his power. The principal questions him about why they are there so late. Zichen takes off his jacket and replies that it's to demonstrate how strong he is. She gets flustered and asks our guy to wait, imagining he's going to show off for her. But he just grabs the bench press bar without paying much attention to her. Our protagonist quickly lifts the 700-kilogram bar with just one hand. The principal is completely shocked. She realizes he is stronger than the most powerful student in the school's history. The principal then agrees to Zichen's request and says she will organize the challenge. Our hero reminds her to include rewards to motivate the other students. He suggests 2 types of prizes, one for participation and another that accumulates with each challenge. The principal likes the idea and assures him she will do everything as he said. Zichen then asks her to keep his strength a secret, and the principal agrees. Later in the principal's office, she reviews the details of the challenge with our protagonist. She presents the final plan, and our hero thanks her for her hard work. The principal replies that it was no trouble at all, with a seductive look in her eyes. Meanwhile, 2 teachers enter the room and are confused. Wonder why the principal, who is always serious, is acting so friendly. The teacher is shocked to see the principal treating Zichen so specially. The day of the challenge arrives, and a crowd gathers in the gym to watch. The principal introduces our hero and explains the rules and prizes of the challenge. The students are outraged and start booing Zichen, calling him arrogant. Our hero then announces that he will defend the ring every day during lunch. At night, in another part of the city, the streets are crowded. A young blonde man named Wu Tianqing walks alone on the sidewalk. 2 girls approach him and invite him to a bar for drinks. Wu Tianqing coldly rejects them and sends them away. They call him boring and leave, saying he'll die alone. He complains that he just wants a handsome guy but hasn't found anyone who pleases him yet. Wu Tianqing worries about failing his mission and being punished by the cult leader. He thought about kidnapping a celebrity, but they are always surrounded by security guards. As a newcomer to the rat god cult, he knows he's not capable of that. Suddenly, he sees our hero Zichen running down the street while exercising. Wu Tianqing is impressed by our protagonist's good looks and finds him perfect. He realizes he has found his target and that luck is finally on his side. With a wicked smile, he decides that Zichen is the perfect victim for the sacrifice. Our hero enters a deserted alley, and Wu Tianqing follows him stealthily. The villain smiles sinisterly, seeing that no one is around to witness. He then transforms into a monster. However, a flying brick hits him square in the head. The monster wonders what is happening. Zichen appears, holding another brick, and says he didn't expect to find a rat man. Creature is terrified, not understanding a word our protagonist is saying. Without even time to react, the monster falls to the ground. Our hero is confused, wondering if the followers of the rat god are really this weak. He decides not to overthink it and absorbs the life essence from the body. Our guy complains because the essence only increased his progress by 1%. He understands that for safety, he will no longer go out for runs at night. After all, not all cultists are as weak as the one he just defeated. The stronger ones can even resist bullets after mutating. The next day, Zikin watches the news and finds out the cult has been annihilated. He is surprised to hear that the rat god sect has been completely eradicated. The report shows that the person who defeated the cult leader was a woman. She was an advanced, level-evolved being with the appearance of a dark angel. The news reports that the operation lasted only 30 seconds and was a crushing victory. Our hero is impressed by the power of a higher-level organism. Meanwhile, in the city, we see the lights of a building. One man asks another if he has any news about Tianqing. He replies that the boy is still missing. The redhead complains that the elite force sent to source number 36 has vanished. The blue-haired man says the situation there is stable, otherwise he wouldn't be here. The redhead praises him, saying the Rat King was a formidable opponent. But for a high-level genius like him, it was just small fry. He then invites his colleague to give a lecture at his old university. The redhead says that giving a motivational speech to the freshmen is also part of the job. Then we see a dark, deep cave. Says the creature first ate beggars and then moved on to younger people. Soon after, it began to devour people of status who lived in luxury. The giant being complains that it brought him there to dig tunnels for its great race. His great irritation. The giant being asks the creature if it deserves to perish. The monster then begs for another chance. The giant being says of course he can have another chance, but he will have to pay a price for it. The giant being says the sewer rat's eye is smelly but must taste delicious. He says it tastes delicious as he eats the eyeball. But he acknowledges that the monster was clever to hide and use its brethren as bait. With that, he threatens the rat man, saying that if he doesn't dig the tunnel, he will perish. With a single blow, the giant being slices the creature. At school, Zikin is being watched by a group of students commenting on his challenge. Our hero ignores the comments and continues to browse his phone. On his phone, our guy sees an ad about the reward for members of the rat god cult. He thinks that each of them is like 500,000 walking yuan. But Zikin knows he needs to get stronger and avoid danger before thinking about the reward. The gym is packed, with many students surrounding the ring to watch the event. Our protagonist steps into the ring and notices the large number of people present. He thinks that besides the participation prize, he should add one more thing. Han, with a megaphone, announces that there are prizes for those who participate in the challenge. The students get excited at the news that they can win cell phones and video game consoles. A student stands up excitedly, wanting to be the first to challenge Zikin. Suddenly, a girl jumps in front of him, saying she will be the first to fight. Soon after, several other girls appear, saying they also want to participate. A group of girls then steps into the ring to face our protagonist. One of the girls takes the opportunity to touch our hero's arm. Another girl seizes the chance to get close to our guy's face. Zikin is confused by the unexpected situation as things are getting weird. He then decides he won't go easy on them to achieve his goal. With a quick move, Zikin pushes the first girl out of the ring. The other one too. Immediately after, he uses his ability to repel all the girls. A system screen appears, showing his progress has increased to 309. One of the defeated girls raises her hand, saying she wants to challenge him again. But Zikin warns that those who have been defeated cannot participate again. The girls are disappointed with the news, as they wanted to get close to him one more time. Bully approaches angrily, saying he doesn't like Zikin and wants to teach him a lesson. With a single punch, our protagonist defeats the bully. In a few minutes, Zikin defeats all the students who challenged him. Seeing everyone on the floor, he asks who will be next to face him. A student named Yan Shaoxuan introduces himself as the next challenger. The other students are surprised to see the famous Yan Shaoxuan from the elite class. Everyone comments that he was once defeated by a senior in the past. Yan Shaoxuan says that just like Zikin, he used to be arrogant too. He claims he will teach our hero that there will always be someone stronger. While the senior is giving his speech, Zikin asks the teacher if the fight can begin. Before the guy could even finish speaking, our protagonist attacks him. With a powerful blow, our hero sends his opponent flying. Zikin cleans his ear and says that finally, everything is quiet. The students are shocked to see Yan Shaoxuan defeated in seconds. From the middle of the crowd, someone starts to applaud. The students comment that Chen Wuxing, the number one in the school, has arrived to help his friend. Zikin realizes that the strongest student in the school has shown up to fight. Chen Wuxing steps into the ring, surprised that Yan Shaoxuan lost to our hero. The opponent tries to speak, but Zikin interrupts, asking the teacher to start the fight. The annoyed senior decides to attack first and make the protagonist listen to him later. The two exchange a powerful blow, creating a huge impact. Zikin apologizes but says he's in a hurry and launches his opponent into the air. Chen Wuxing is shocked by our protagonist's strength as he is thrown. The audience is in shock to see the strongest student defeated so easily. Our guy then points to the crowd and calls someone to fight. He picks a random student, saying he hasn't fought yet. Zikin encourages the guy, saying that if he participates, he'll have a chance to win prizes. With just a touch, our protagonist defeats the student. The other students get excited, realizing it's not shameful to lose to someone so strong. So everyone starts getting into the ring to fight and try to win the prizes. With just a tap on the head, Zichin defeats another opponent. He continues to defeat all the students who enter the ring, one by one. The system informs him that the achievement of eliminating 1,000 opponents has finally been reached. Zichin is happy to have finally completed his goal. With the achievement, Zichin receives a new ability that increases the damage he deals. He then ends the challenge and jumps out of the ring while the girls lament the end of the event. A hand finds him and they leave the gym. Begins to empty. The protagonist goes to the principal's office. The principal congratulates our protagonist on becoming #1 in the school. She finds it impressive that he even took down Chen Wuxing. Zichin replies that he only hid a little of his power. Our protagonist then asks about the real combat training room. She explains that the room can be used at any time, but cannot be opened to the public, and she agrees to let them use the place. She gets closer and whispers for him to be careful not to hurt anyone. Our guy is confused by her warning and doesn't understand what she meant. He and Hanan leave the room and walk down the hall together. Our hero holds a key, thinking that now he can discover Han's abilities. Han then calls him, saying she has a favor to ask. Hanan explains that she has entered a singing contest and needs help practicing. She asks our hero to practice with her at night, and he agrees. The girl gets super excited and runs off, celebrating. Zichin is happy for her and hopes she gains confidence from the contest. At Han's house. In the next room, her parents are listening, and the father is worried about them being alone. But his wife scolds him, saying they are childhood friends and it's none of his business. She tells him not to meddle in their affairs. The father agrees, afraid of her, and says he won't say anything more. Our protagonist overhears her parents' argument. After a while, Zichin says they've practiced enough and need to study. He also reminds her that the next day they have swimming class at school. Hanan says goodbye to him at the door, and he leaves. After he leaves, she thinks about the swimming class, all embarrassed. She then goes to her closet to choose a swimsuit to wear. She is undecided between a one-piece and a bikini. Hanan feels embarrassed at the thought of wearing the bikini, but she imagines them at the pool and gets even more embarrassed. She then decides to wear the bikini since only Zichin will be there and puts it in her bag. Day at school. Our hero alone by the pool, waiting for Han. He's already ready in his swimming trunks. The pool's cameras are all covered. Zichin hears Hanan calling him and turns around. He is surprised to see Han coming out of the locker room in a bikini. She approaches him, asking if she kept him waiting long. Our protagonist tells her to be careful not to slip, but inside he is impressed. Zichin invites her into the water to start their training. The two then dive in and start swimming together underwater. Underwater, the protagonist holds her hand. Hanan looks at Zichin underwater. She gets closer to him and hugs him. The girl points upwards, signaling that she wants to return to the surface. The protagonist then holds her and starts to ascend. When they surface, he asks what happened. Hanan says, surprised, that the water felt strange passing through her body. She shows her hands to prove what she's saying. The water simply passes through her hands as if it weren't solid. She then asks our hero why water is leaking through her body. Our MC gets serious, realizing this must be her superpower. With that, he asks to take a look at his friend's hand to be sure. He holds the girl's hand and confirms that water is indeed passing right through it. So, Zichin suggests they need to check if other parts of her body do the same thing. The girl agrees with the idea, looking super embarrassed by the situation. Lying on a lounge chair, she calls our hero's name very timidly. He starts splashing water on her to test it out, while she asks if it's going to take long. After testing a few times, our boy concludes that her body seems to be normal. He then tells her that it looks like, for now, only her hands have this power. Hanan asks if her problem could be related to this ability, and he agrees. Our hero then tells her to let him know the next time she feels like she can't hold it in. He gets flustered and asks her to check if other parts of her body have the same sensation. Zichin then thinks to himself that he almost came off as a total creep. Hanan then realizes she's not useless but a super user with water powers. She thinks that one day, with her powers fully developed, she'll be able to stand by our hero's side and be his ideal partner. Our hero goes into the city to buy more beast meat. Arriving at the market, a clerk greets him and welcomes him in. At that, our protagonist places his credit card on the counter. He then says he wants to buy 100 pounds of gray eagle meat. The woman takes the card and the delivery address, looking surprised by the order. As she watches him leave, she wonders what kind of young master would be so generous. The clerk then fills out the order and mentally begs for a good review. In a warehouse, he thinks that with the money from his novel, he managed to save up 210,000. He sees that the money was enough to buy the giant eagle meat. With that, our boy can hardly wait to see what surprise the codex will bring him. The system notifies him that he has devoured the eagle's life source, and the codex is at 100%. A giant eagle appears in his mind, flying over a sea of crystals. The image of the eagle then dives toward the water in a swift attack. In his mind, we see the eagle attacking and capturing a giant squid with its talons. The system then congratulates him for unlocking the codex and gaining the Sky Eye attribute. This ability drastically increases his field of vision and his ability to track movement. With that, our hero's eyes now glow with an intense golden color. He tests his new power and can see the entire city all at once. His vision is so precise that he can focus on a single person in the middle of a crowd. He's blown away because he can even read what's on someone's phone screen from a distance. After testing his new ability, our protagonist heads back home. As he walks in, he's surprised to find his parents watching TV in the living room. On the news, the report shows a winged monster that caused hundreds of casualties. A man is giving a speech, saying that genetic fusion is the wrong path for human evolution. But another man interrupts him, saying that regular martial artists can't be trusted. The protagonist's father comments that genetic fusion users are like ticking time bombs. His mother says that government control is strict and the chance of accidents is small. The father then says the biggest problem is that genetic fusion causes infertility. The protagonist's mother looks at him, surprised to realize he overheard their conversation. She then gets all flustered for being caught talking about adult stuff in front of her son. So, the mom changes the subject and invites our boy to have dinner since he's home. During dinner, Zikin mentions that the school is having a singing competition and that Han signed up. Excited, the father says the whole family will go to cheer for her, as they consider her a daughter. Our hero agrees with the idea while eating his meal peacefully. On the day of the competition, a crowd gathers in front of the stage to watch the performances. Our boy's parents are in the front row with a banner, enthusiastically cheering for Han. Backstage, Zichen helps his friend get ready for her performance in an empty classroom. Very carefully, he starts applying makeup to the girl's face for the show. Hanan gets embarrassed and asks why he's looking at her like that. With a smile, our protagonist replies that it's because she's very beautiful. The girl gets completely flustered and blushes at her friend's compliment. Suddenly, a classmate shows up at the door and asks if the two are done flirting. Han denies everything, saying she only asked for help because he's good with makeup, but the classmate doesn't buy it. Our hero then thinks to himself that it never hurts to have a lot of skills. The classmate then announces that they're up next, after two more performers. With the warning delivered, the girl leaves the room and closes the door. While our boy gathers his things, Hanan seems very nervous and fidgety. She then stands up, still very embarrassed and unsure of what to do. Then the girl gets closer and grabs the sleeve of our protagonist's shirt. Suddenly, she says she couldn't hold it, and a liquid starts running down her legs. Hanian is desperately crying, saying her performance is about to start. She's lamenting that all their hard work will be for nothing because of her little accident. At this, our hero comforts her and tells her not to cry because she'll ruin her makeup. Alone in the classroom, she still seems really shaken up by the whole situation. So our MC starts thinking fast, trying to figure out a way to solve this problem. That's when he looks over at the white curtains in the room and gets a brilliant idea. Without wasting a second, our hero grabs a pair of scissors that were sitting on one of the desks. He then walks over to the window and yanks down one of the curtains to put his plan into action. He throws the fabric on a desk and starts cutting it all up with the scissors. Hanan watches the whole thing with tears in her eyes, having no clue what he's doing. A few moments later, he shows her a makeshift dress he fashioned out of the classroom curtain. Our young hero hands her the outfit, tells her to hurry up and get changed in the bathroom. But Hanan says there's no need and that she'll change right there, asking him to just turn around. Our MC gets completely red-faced, caught off guard by her unexpected request. Still, he agrees and turns his back while his friend starts to change right then and there. Behind him, Hanan starts changing into the new outfit he made. The MC just stands there, only hearing the sounds of her changing behind him. He gets super awkward and tries his best not to think too much about what's happening. After a bit, she's in the new dress and ties it up in the back. Han then lets him know she's done and that he can turn around and look. She thanks him, saying that because of all the chaos, she doesn't feel nervous for the show anymore. With a smile, our young man wishes her good luck and tells her to give it her all on stage. At the contest, the duo gets on stage and puts on an incredible performance for the audience. And with that performance, they end up becoming the grand champions of the singing competition. In the audience, our hero applauds with a proud smile for his friend's performance. The next day, a staff member walks into the classroom and is shocked to see the destroyed curtain. As a result, the two of them end up in detention, cleaning the classroom after school. Our young man thinks that this is a fair punishment for cutting up the school's curtain. Suddenly, a system screen pops up in front of him with a new completed mission. Our hero gives a little smirk, thinking that this was an unexpected reward. In the hallway, some girls compliment Han and invite her to hang out after school. She gets happy about it and excitedly accepts the invitation. This newfound confidence also helped her improve a ton in martial arts. Meanwhile, our protagonist is also making a name for himself, winning a big school tournament. With this victory, he's already collected dozens of trophies and important awards on his shelf. He even became the poster boy for the family dojo of one of his friends. With all that money, he finally saved up 900,000 to buy more beast meat. So, he heads to the shop and the saleswoman greets him with his special order in a box. This time, he bought the meat of a dragon lizard, which is famous for being super elusive. With the meat in hand, he begins to absorb the creature's essence, releasing a blue aura. Just then, the system informs him that he's unlocked the codex and gained a new skill. His new ability is natural camouflage, which allows him to conceal his biological signature. So he figures that with this power, he can hide from enemies and launch surprise attacks. After all that, our hero decides to head home but needs to buy a cake first. However, in the middle of the street, he suddenly stops, sensing that something strange is going on. He then sees a red-haired woman being escorted by a few cyborgs. At that moment, one of the guards turns around and greets him, calling him by name with a smile. Our hero is surprised and recognizes him as one of the upperclassmen from his old school. He then looks down and notices that the guy's legs have been replaced with prosthetics. The upperclassman explains that he was in a motorcycle accident and needed new legs. He goes on to say he was lucky enough to be part of an experiment and became a cyborg. Our young man asks about the prisoner, and the guy reveals she's from the cult of the rat god. One of his teammates calls him over, telling him they need to get going because they're in a big hurry. So, the upperclassman says his goodbyes and leaves with his team, taking the prisoner with them. He's left thinking that the police struggled with her, but this group captured her so easily. From this, our hero realizes that this group of cyborgs is incredibly powerful and dangerous. He then clenches his fists, seeming to be focused on something very important in that moment. His mom calls him, asking if he's bought the cake yet and when he'll be home. It's revealed that his and Han-Han's birthdays are just one day apart, so they always celebrate together. And that year would be no different, as everyone gathered for their joint 18th birthday party. The time for the gift exchange arrives, and the two of them get ready for this special moment. But suddenly, everything starts to shake violently, interrupting the celebration. This startles everyone, and they wonder if it's an earthquake. Our hero, however, feels that something is wrong and that this is no ordinary tremor. Meanwhile, in the city's underground, a horde of mutant rats stirs in the shadows. On TV, the news reports that the tremor was just a normal 4.2 magnitude earthquake. The next day, our hero says goodbye to his parents and heads off to school after finishing breakfast. On his way, Han-Han finds him and asks him to walk to class with her. She mentions that they're adults now and with exams just around the corner, she's feeling a little on edge. Sometime later, our hero finally scrapes together enough cash to unlock a new creature codex. The system informs him that he has devoured the being's essence and that the codex is complete. The image of the sea monster flashes in his mind as it swims swiftly through the water. Then, a vision shows the giant eagle attacking the serpent in an epic clash of beasts. By unlocking the codex, he gains a new ability called Danger Perception. To test out his new power, he decides to head to a bustling mall to see how it works. At the market, he notices that most of the people around him are of a common biological level. With that in mind, our MC has already decided on his next target to unlock another ability. He spots some special frog meat but realizes the price is insane, costing 100,000 per serving. Our boy then figures he's going to need a way to make more money after the exams. The scene cuts to a government building, showing the office of the Secretary of Education. We see the university's vice, dean, and the Secretary of Education, a total boss of a woman. A man then briefs Yuan Dongxi on the educational situation in the province. Yu then asks about the situation at Source 36, and the man reports that everything is stable. She dismisses him, saying he can get back to his other duties. The man bows respectfully and exits the room, closing the door right behind him. Alone in the room, Yuan thinks to herself that it's been many years since she last took on a new discipline. She then walks over to the window and looks out at the beautiful seascape. The martial arts exams last for 9 days, and the first is a written test in the morning. In the afternoon of the first day, the students go through a physical fitness test. In the next part of the test, the students have to show off their full strength by lifting massive weights. From the 2nd to the 8th day, all students are taken to a forest for a survival test. On the 9th and final day, the gene fusion and mechanical modification test is held. Today is June 7th, the first day of exams for the high schoolers. Our hero walks hand in hand with Han-Han. A moment later, Han-Han gently tugs on our boy's sleeve. Han-Han confesses she's super nervous and scared that she'll mess up during the exam. But with a confident smile, our hero looks at her, trying to calm her down. Then he pulls her into a tight hug and tells her not to worry about it. He says that she studied really hard and that everything's going to be just fine. Han-Han feels better, and they promise to do their best on the exams. In the classroom, our protagonist breezes through the written test with no problem at all. He finishes way before time is up and decides to brainstorm plot points for his novel to kill some time. After the test, he sees Han-Han in the hallway and wonders if she didn't do so well. Walking up to her, he says that just passing is good enough, but she tells him she did fine. Our boy then asks why she has such a sad and worried look on her face. Bright red, she confesses she had a little accident, and quickly dashes off to the restroom. During the physical test, our hero lifts over 2,000 pounds with just one hand. The other students are floored by his 5.12 second time in the 100-meter dash. Afterward, his friend comes back from the restroom looking better, and he asks how she's feeling. She says her results were good, but they don't even come close to his. At that, he gives her a reassuring pat on the head and tells her she's already an excellent student. Just then, a classmate comes running over and announces that the test scores are out. The friend says the others scored in the low 80s and asks what their scores were. She then sees she got an 82, and the classmate is shocked by her high score. Then they both turn to the protagonist to see how he did. He then shows them his phone and, as usual, he completely asked it, leaving everyone speechless. She mentions that the forest combat test starts the next day. Our boy then takes her hand and promises he'll stick close by to protect her. Elsewhere, two men are talking about the start of the combat test. The masked man hands over a small box and tells him to use his security ID. The masked man reveals that inside the box are 10 demonic seeds to help him out. He opens the box and sees the seeds that will aid him in his secret mission. The man says he doesn't want to become an official member but wants a strange fruit as his reward instead. Masked man then says that this so-called fruit will only help him evolve up to level 7. The man seems to mull over the masked man's proposal, weighing his options. Then he agrees, saying that becoming an official member of the organization is a better deal in the long run. On a misty road, a convoy of buses takes students to the site of the forest practical exam. Inside the vehicle, Zikin wakes up Han, who was sleeping on his shoulder, because they finally arrived. The waifu awakens, still a bit drowsy, and asks if they're really at the exam location already. Following instructions, the pair gets off with the other students and heads to the meeting point. In an open area, they learn the rules, which involve finding numbered tags in the forest to score points. The announcement also mentions dangerous beasts that serve as a way for elite students to get extra points. It's stated that cooperation is allowed, but stealing tags from others is also part of the competition. Immediately, some students start forming teams, with one extra using his rich dad as leverage. But the supervisor puts a stop to the open team, ups, reminding everyone to be a little more discreet. Meanwhile, a group of girls tries to convince Zikin to join them, but he bluntly turns them down. Soon after, another student approaches the pair, asking if he could buy some of their food. Being a good guy, our MC just tosses the kid some snacks and says it's on the house. The young man gets excited and introduces himself as Hong Jumping, suggesting they team up for the exam. However, our hero turns down the offer too, leaving his new acquaintance a bit surprised by the rejection. With that, the rando just thanks him for the food and walks away to join the rest of the crowd. Hanan finds it odd that Hong Jumping asked for food with so many stalls nearby. Zikin then explains that the guy's real intention was to hit on her, which makes the waifu all flustered. With time running out, our protagonist takes his friend's hand, and they head into the forest for the test. To help his partner get her bearings, they decide to start around the edges of the forest. And so the duo begins searching for scoring tags in the safest part of the area. To speed things up, our hero activates his SKI ability, and his vision is enhanced. With this technique, he can scan a huge area, seeing every detail of the environment. He points out a tag at the top of a tree, and his friend leaps up nimbly to grab it. The purple-haired girl manages to snag the one-point tag and reports her success. Using his special sight, the guy locates several other hidden tags nearby. In no time, they manage to gather a bunch of scoring tags without much trouble. Hanan gets super excited and hugs Zikin, impressed by his knack for finding everything. Suddenly, they look ahead in surprise as someone appears in their path. It was Hong Jumping, the same extra they had met just before the exam started. The young man shows off his tags, saying he has 28 points and wants to repay their kindness. The extra is actually eyeing Han and proposes they team up to split the points evenly. But Zikin sees right through him and says that if he really wants to return the favor, he should just hand over all of his tags. The guy is shocked and furious at our protagonist's bold proposal. He gets ready to attack, yelling that our hero is asking for it. Then the young man charges straight at Zikin, ready for a fight. With a smirk, our hero agrees that he really has gone too far with his attitude. Effortlessly, the protagonist blocks the blow and counters with a punch straight to the gut. The impact is so intense that the extra doubles over, cuffing hard from the force of the blow. After that, the pair takes the knocked out guy's tags and casually continues on their way. Waifu asks worriedly if he'll be okay, but Zikin tells her to chill, saying he barely used any force. Over the next few days, the duo continues to explore the forest while our protagonist trains his friend. He even teaches her how to use a bamboo stalk as a weapon to hunt a wild boar that showed up. The two also take the opportunity to gather some fruit to eat during the survival test. On top of that, they teach a lesson to some bullies who tried to steal their stuff. And just like that, the pair moves through the forest challenges, leaving a trail of defeated extras in their wake. During a downpour, the duo takes a moment to rest, and the waifu falls asleep on our hero's shoulder. When the rain stops, they finally reach the central part of the forest, which is a dangerous beast zone. But upon entering the area, they only find traces of a battle, and Han notes that the beasts are already gone. Han says it's a total bummer, because he could have been labeled a genius. Hearing this, our hero gives her a gentle pat on the head and tells her that title isn't such a big deal anyway. He then takes her hand and says it's about time they headed back for the next test. Our guy figures it's best to just help his friend train, especially since the whole place is crawling with cameras. After the combat test wraps up, the next step is the genetic fusion compatibility test. All the students are bussed out to a massive research institute on a remote island. As they arrive, an instructor barks at them to get off and find their designated testing window to line up. Inside the lab, the students wait around while one of them gets their blood drawn. This gets our MC wondering, asking if the reagent in those vials is the one used for the fusion test. A classmate explains that the gene from that specific jellyfish is highly compatible with the human body. The test involves drawing a fresh blood sample from each student. The blood is injected into the jellyfish reagent to trigger a chemical reaction. Based on the level of that reaction, they determine if the student is a suitable candidate for genetic fusion. One of the classmates mentions he really hopes to pass, because he does not want to take the mechanical enhancement test. A girl agrees, saying that test is super painful since they literally implant stuff into your body. On the day of the genetic test, all the students are on edge, hoping they'll make the cut. Our hero's friend is one of the first to have her blood drawn for analysis. As they all sit in the waiting room, our guy comments that the results should be out in about an hour. Before long, people start murmuring about the results as they come in. Some are celebrating, others look crushed, but nearly everyone's results are delivered. Our MC remembers that prodigy from Kyoto who scored 16% and figures he can probably pull off around 20. Anxiously, his friend turns to him and says that waiting for the final result is making her super nervous. With that, the young man comforts her, saying it's normal to be nervous and that they'll get through this together. She then sees her result, 10%, and is floored that it's enough to get into one of the top schools. At the same time, other students get their results, either cheering or grumbling about their scores. Our guy then tells his friend that their results must be out by now, but she's too scared to look and asks him to check her result for her later. He agrees and pulls out his phone to check his own score first. On the phone screen, his result pops up, and to everyone's surprise, he scored 15%. His friend is ecstatic with the result and gives him a huge hug, celebrating his achievement. Our guy, however, is a little let down by his 15%, realizing that physical strength isn't the only factor in this test. He then turns to his friend and lets her know it's her turn to check her results. Their other friend tries to calm her down, remarking that if even she managed a good score, then Han definitely will too. And when he glances at the result, his jaw drops. Everyone nearby crowds around the phone, completely stunned. The phone shows that his friend achieved an incredible score of 21% compatibility. We now cut to a building, the State Education HQ. Pretty big deal. In the conference room, a bunch of VIPs are gathered. Yuan Dongxi announces that the test results are in and tells everyone to take a look. The screen displays our hero's file with his 15%, and everyone hails him as the top scorer. With that, everyone in the room starts congratulating the school's principal. She thinks to herself that, just when they thought he was the best, the very next result left them all speechless. Suddenly, the protagonist's friend's file appears with 21%, casting a complete silence over the room. The teacher is baffled, as the girl had always seemed like an ordinary student and just a friend of the protagonist. Dongxi then stands up with a serious look and asks, "So what's the deal with this girl?" The other teacher says the girl's performance is usually average and wonders if the result wasn't just a fluke. Lets out a sigh. She then decides she needs to go and check this situation out for herself, personally. Meanwhile, back at the testing center, the other students can't believe the 21% result. Hanan herself, in total shock, asks her friend how she could have possibly gotten that score, thinking it must be a mistake. But our protagonist assures her he doesn't think it's a mistake and takes her hand to calm her down. He whispers that she has an affinity for water, and the test used an aquatic beast, which is why her score was so high. With a sparkle in her eyes, Han realizes he's right and cheers. "I'm a genius." She then looks at him, beaming, and thinks to herself that she's finally worthy of standing by his side. Suddenly, someone shouts for everyone to look outside. Through the window, they see a gigantic wave forming in the sea, with a person standing on top of it. This is Yuan Dongxi, floating above the water, leaving everyone completely astonished. All the students freak out, wondering if she's about to attack them or something. Touches down. The students immediately bow, since she's the vice principal. Everyone starts whispering about her genetic fusion with dragons, which is why she can manipulate water however she wants. Yuan Dongxi stares down Hanan and asks if her name is Shen Qingyan. Hanan's nervous but confirms that's her. With that, the vice principal orders them to draw her blood 3 times to redo the aptitude test. A little while later, her friends start to worry, because drawing 3 vials of blood is definitely not a normal procedure. Just then, one of the scientists shows up and asks Hanan to follow him to a room. When she gets there, the girl finds the vice principal sitting at her desk. Yuan Dongxi smiles and announces that the test results are finally in. She gets closer to Hanan and says she can't believe that all 3 results came back at 21%. So, the vice principal cuts right to the chase and says she wants to make Hanan her disciple. Hanan is completely floored by the offer and wonders if she heard that right. To prove her point, the woman shows off her ability to manipulate water. She says that if the girl agrees to be her disciple, she'll be able to do this stuff easily in the future. Hanan gets a little awkward and says she needs to think it over and ask her friend first. But the woman insists there's nothing to think about, since being her disciple will only bring amazing benefits. The vice principal adds that she's also the head of education, so Hanan has a guaranteed spot in her college. Then she leans in closer to Hanan, asking if she has anything to say, and the girl just shakes her head no. With a smile, Yuan Dongxi holds out her phone and tells her to add her contact info. Our hero's friend feels the pressure and ends up taking the phone to scan the code. Afterward, the woman reveals she already has another disciple who is 10 years older than her. She then sends a picture of the other student, saying she'll introduce them when she gets a chance. The photo shows a girl who looks just like Beishu, holding a spear in a super creepy forest. Hanan's jaw drops because the girl in the picture is the spitting image of her childhood friend, Beishu. Burning with curiosity, Hanan asks her new master what her senior's name is. Yuan Dongxi replies that her name is Luo Qiangxu and asks if Hanan knows her. Hanan explains that she had a friend named Beishu who looked a lot like the senior, but she moved away a long time ago. Her master finds the coincidence unbelievable and dismisses the idea right away. She then mentions that Hanan's genetic compatibility is ridiculously high and she wants to do a full check up on her later. The master places a hand on Hanan's chest, and a brilliant golden light begins to shine. The vice principal is shocked by what she feels. She totally wasn't expecting that at all. She finds the whole situation incredibly strange and can't figure out what's going on. Hanan asks if something is wrong with her body, and the woman replies that everything is F2 normal. To protect her, Yuan Dongxi says she's going to alter the results to 16%, and the girl agrees. With everything settled, the master says it's getting late, and that Hanan can head on home. Our hero's friend then says goodbye to her new master. The door closed. Alone in the room, the vice principal sits down and pulls out her phone to make an important call. She tells her dad that she has accepted the girl with 21% compatibility as her disciple. The man on the other end of the line says she did an excellent job, and that this student will bring them incredible rewards. He warns her to keep the girl's talent a secret, and Yuan Dongxi agrees with her father. Our protagonist is taking Hanan home and thinks it's weird that she managed to snag a master out of the blue. Our guy decides to just wait and see what happens. If the woman has bad intentions, he'll deal with it. He adds that if the master turns out to be a bad person, they'll just cut ties, and Hanan agrees. When they get home, their moms greet them happily and suggest going out to a restaurant to celebrate. So, the two families head to the restaurant, where the moms gush about how great Hanan did on her exams. At the restaurant, everyone raises a glass to celebrate the duo's achievement. After dinner, they say their goodbyes in the parking lot and promise to get together more often. Night falls and a full moon shines brightly in the sky. Back at our guy's apartment, there's a knock at the door. Our hero's mom goes to answer the unexpected knock. It's Hanan wearing her pajamas. Her mom asks, "Here for another sleepover with my son." Hanian tells our hero's mom that she needs to talk to her son about something really important. Hearing this, she runs to the protagonist's room, blushing like crazy, while his mom flashes a very suspicious grin. The woman then wonders if her son's childhood friend is finally going to confess her feelings to him. Meanwhile, Hanan knocks on the hero's door, saying she has something super serious to talk to him about. Our hero then opens the door, looking sleepy, and asks her what's going on. Hanan walks in and explains that it's about the master she met earlier, which catches him by surprise. Sitting on the bed, she tells him that her new mentor gave her a full check-up but didn't find anything special. She says her issue with not being able to hold back wasn't even detected by the powerful woman. Our hero then wonders how a master who can control giant waves couldn't see the secret her body holds. He then warns her that, for now, no one else can know about this, as the consequences would be unpredictable. Hanan agrees with a smile and says she'll do whatever he tells her to. She then remembers something else and says her master mentioned that she has an older apprentice sister. Han shows him her phone and says the picture of this senior looks a lot like her childhood friend, Beishu. Our hero takes the phone and agrees they look alike, but says their auras are totally different. He then zooms in on the picture and asks if she knows where it was taken, pointing out the background. Hanian says she doesn't know, but that she'll ask her new mentor. On the phone screen, the master replies that the place is called the Land of the Source, and that she'll find out more when she's strong enough. Han then says she only found out the name of the place and couldn't get any more information. So, the protagonist sits down next to her and says they'll just have to worry about it in the future. The two then lie down on the bed, and he continues to research the location on his phone. But Han seems to be thinking about something else entirely, with a serious look on her face. Lying there, she asks if guys like women who wear a certain type of dress. Our hero remembers her master and wonders if his friend has been influenced by the woman. He then pictures Han wearing the dress and turns bright red, thinking it would look amazing on her. She scoots closer and asks if he likes it or not, and our hero stammers that, maybe he does. She gets even closer and asks about stockings, leaving the protagonist completely confused. She pushes him down on the bed, and all flustered, he answers that he prefers black or white ones. With a smirk, she grabs her phone and starts ordering the clothes, leaving our hero totally clueless. But suddenly, a knock on the bedroom door completely shatters the mood between them. The protagonist's mom walks in with a bag and announces that Han's mother sent over her things for a sleepover. Completely mortified, Han takes the bag and complains that her mom did this all on her own. The woman just says it's no big deal, since they're basically adults now and can stay up a little later. Our hero's mom slams the door shut, leaving the two of them alone in the room. A super awkward vibe immediately fills the air between them, as neither has any idea what to do in this situation. She sits on the bed, says she's going to get ready to sleep, and starts rummaging through the bag. But while looking for her things, she finds something odd and asks, "What is this?" She holds up a small box containing something for adults and panics at what her mom packed in there. Red as a tomato, she can't believe her mom had the nerve to put that in her bag. In a total frenzy, she says she needs to use the bathroom and bolts out of the room, tripping on her way out. The protagonist is left completely baffled, with absolutely no clue what just happened. As time goes by, our hero and Hanan get accepted into college and start celebrating. Hanan then wraps her arms tightly around our MC's waist, sharing a super cute moment together. After that, they take off, since his childhood friend also signed up for the same martial arts gym he did. On this particular day, the two of them were on their way to a promotional event the gym was hosting. Halfway there, Zichin notices a group of sketchy-looking dudes blocking their path. Then, a man dressed differently from the rest approaches and asks if he's the student, Zichin. Our boy stops his bike and, completely confused, asks who these people are. The man introduces himself as the dean of the Shanghai University Martial Arts Academy, and he adds that he's there today as a representative of a group called the Tianren Pavilion. Our hero remembers hearing about them. They're a group that's against genetic fusion and technology. The dean then invites our protagonist to join them, but Zichin just tries to leave. However, the man stops him, placing a hand on his shoulder and asking for a moment of his time to talk. To try and convince him, the man even offers him a brand spanking new phone as a gift. Over coffee, the man explains that his group research is pure, unmodified human potential. Their goal is to break through common limits to evolve and become rare or even mythical beings. Dean claims they've already had success and shows our hero a video to prove his point. In the video, the level 9 Dean faces off against a powerful genetic fusion user who has wings. Our protagonist recognizes the winged man as the hero who single-handedly defeated the cult of the rat god. In the recording, the winged man shoots up into the sky at high speed. He then mercilessly unleashes a shower of razor-sharp feathers down on the dean. The dean gets hit dead, on by the feathers, his body getting covered in wounds, but he somehow withstands it. After the attack, his opponent lands back in the ring. But even injured, the dean charges forward with everything he's got, throwing a mighty punch at the bird man. His fist connects squarely with his opponent's face in a devastating blow. The force of the impact sends the winged man flying. The dean then declares that the future of humanity lies with pure-blooded humans, not some mixed breeds. Zichin is shocked by what he's just seen and wonders if the video is real or just some elaborate fake. The man assures him the video is completely unedited and invites our hero to watch his upcoming fights. Our boy then asks why they don't just post the video online, and the dean says they've been forbidden. He explains that the powers that be believe there's no future without raising one's biological level, so they just ignore them. The man gets ticked off, saying that without more people doing research, they won't be able to evolve. But he calms down and says that if a genius like Zichin joins them, he won't be stuck at level 9 for 50 years. Our protagonist is confused by this, since the dean looks like he's only about 50 years old. Then the man reveals that he's actually almost 100 years old and stays young thanks to his training method. The dean says that if our boy doesn't believe him, he can look up his information online. So he does a search and sees the man was born in 1929, leaving him floored by his longevity. Our hero then continues his online deep dive, looking for more useful info on the dean. He discovers that in his youth, the man was part of one of the biggest martial arts families in the province. But when the era of gene fusion arrived, the family refused to adapt and eventually fell from grace. Because of that decision, his wife and kids left him to follow the path of gene fusion. Seeing this, our MC thinks about his friend and feels certain she would never ditch him like that. But suddenly, the kid sees something on his phone that makes his eyes go wide with shock. He looks at the man's family connections and realizes his ex-wife is his friend's mentor and wonders if the kids kicked the bucket. Our hero then looks at the dean sitting in front of him, thinking there's more to this old dude than meets the eye. The man then brags, saying his long life is proof that pure humans have a great future ahead of them. He then stands up dramatically and yells that humans can surpass the heavens if they just push themselves. He explains that gene fusion only borrows power from beasts, which is why its users will never truly overcome them. With a serious look, the man says that one day, humanity won't be able to hold back the beasts and will be wiped out. He then brings up cyborgs, saying they also use materials from beasts and, for that reason, will never surpass them either. The dean clarifies that his group isn't against gene fusion, but against putting all their eggs in that one basket. With that, he invites our MC to join his group and fight for the future of humanity. Our hero turns down the offer, but the dean insists, saying he could be the first to break through the limits. Our boy then asks what exactly this training method the man keeps talking about is. The dean explains it's an ancient art that uses blood to strengthen the body and increase fighting power. He says that with this technique, it's possible to fly and shatter mountains while fighting giant beasts. However, only pure-blooded humans can use the technique, since the others have modified bodies. That's why he believes only pure humans have a real future, not the other types of warriors. The man then invites our young hero, once more, to follow the path of pure humans with him. Our MC refuses, saying he still knows too little about the whole thing and needs to see more for himself. The dean gets annoyed and says that with the kid's talent, it would be a total waste not to try this path. He mentions that the girl's 16% compatibility is nothing compared to our hero's potential. Han is taken aback and embarrassed by the man's comment, who disses her right to her face. With a fiery aura, the dean declares that he believes our hero is the true champion of the province. He finishes by saying that if our hero chooses this path, he will absolutely crush his friend. Han gets annoyed, seeing as she hadn't said a single word and got dragged into the argument out of nowhere. Our hero then raises a hand to cut the dean off while Han continues to look super embarrassed. With a smile, he points to her and introduces her as the champion with 16% compatibility. Our boy then says that it's getting late and they have more things to do before heading home. He thanks him for the phone and the drink and gets up to leave, holding Han's hand. In desperation, the man yells for him to wait and join his group for just 6 months. As they walk away, the dean offers to double the benefits the Evolution Academy would give him. Seeing that they aren't stopping, the man ups the offer and yells that his group can pay triple. Upon hearing the proposal to triple the benefits, our MC stops in his tracks, stunned by the offer. He then walks back, sits down, and says that he has always agreed with the man's group's ideals. With his eyes sparkling, he declares that he has decided to lend his talents to contribute to the cause of humans. The dean is shocked but then instantly regrets it, thinking about the fortune he's about to spend on our hero. But our hero says that before anything else, he has a very important question to ask the man. He then asks if the dean knows what the land of origin is, leaving the old man completely surprised. With a serious look, the dean explains that it's a place considered to be the origin of all life. He continues his explanation, saying that all the beasts that exist today came directly from that place. Our hero starts thinking about the origin land and realizes that humanity is already well aware of this place where the beasts come from. So, he asks an older man if the beast meat at the market comes from there, and the guy confirms everything. The master explains that no electronics work in that place, so the only records they have are made through hand-drawn sketches. That gives our boy a light bulb moment, and he realizes that a picture he saw of a girl wasn't a photo, but actually a drawing. But right at that moment, his phone starts ringing on the table, interrupting their chat. He picks up the call, and someone asks when he's going to arrive for the dojo's promotional event. Our MC stands up and tells the master he needs to bounce, but they can catch up later. As he's leaving, the man hands him a blue book with a new technique called the blood cry. The master says that to learn this skill, there's a biological requirement: you have to be at stage 4. He also mentions that based on our boy's data, he's already pretty close to reaching that level to start practicing. But our hero drops a bomb and reveals he's already at stage 6 and will give it a shot when he gets home. The scene cuts to some buildings on a sunny day, showing that we are now in a different part of the city. Inside a gym, a woman is training hard, punching a heavy bag with some serious force. She shows off her flexibility and power with an impressive high kick that almost rips the heavy bag apart. The same master from before shows up. The lady stops training and asks the master why he's been walking on sunshine lately. With a smug smile, he says he recruited the best student in the province using nothing but his irresistible charm. She doesn't buy that story for a second and asks him to spill the tea on how he actually pulled that off. So, the man confesses he offered triple the benefits of the other gym, causing the girl to panic about the budget. The master starts daydreaming about a life of luxury with various rich ladies, while the girl begs him to snap out of it. He changes the subject and asks how long it took her to learn the art of the blood cry. The man praises her talent because he considers himself a genius, and it still took him 2 weeks to feel the kuai. The girl looks a bit down and mentions she gave up on genetic fusion, which makes her the target of jokes. But the master comforts her, saying that when she evolves, she's going to shut up everyone who laughed at her. She complains that she still hasn't managed to open an acupuncture point and asks about our boy. The man estimates that our hero should take about 10 days since his stats are similar to hers. Hearing that, the lady gets super hyped and says she's going to love teaching her new, genius little brother. The scene then shifts to the city at night, showing that some time has passed. In his room, our MC is sitting on the bed meditating with the book he got earlier. Then he opens his eyes and reveals he managed to feel his blood ki in just 3 minutes. Holding the book, he says the next step is to control his blood chi and start tempering his body. He starts the process with his right arm, and the system shows his skin is already getting tougher. After half an hour, our boy finishes the first part and grabs a knife to test his durability. The blade can't even scratch his skin, and he's impressed with the power of this new technique. Our hero goes back to meditating, imagining how strong he'll be after 5 sessions. 3 hours later, he's exhausted but happy to have strengthened both arms in such a short time. It was almost midnight when his phone on the bed lights up with a new notification. Our protagonist grabs the device and sees a message from Hanan asking if he's asleep. She says she prepared a surprise for him in her room, and our curious hero agrees to go over there. He gets up, wondering what kind of surprise would make her call him so late at night. In the hallway, he bumps into Hanan's mom and explains that her daughter called him to show a surprise. The woman tells him to hurry up so he doesn't keep her waiting, and our protagonist finds the situation a little weird. Arriving at the bedroom door, he knocks and announces he's there, and a voice from inside tells him to come in. Our boy opens the door and enters his friend's room to see what this surprise is all about. Upon entering, he sees Hanan on the bed with her face completely red. Hanan says with a flushed face that this is the surprise she prepared, and our boy wonders what's under the sheet. He gets all flustered, imagining her surprise might be something more intimate, but he tries to shake those thoughts out of his head. Our protagonist tries to play it cool and says it better not be a glow in the dark watch, but she insists he comes closer. So, he sits on the edge of the bed, and the girl asks him to lift the sheet to finally see the surprise. At that moment, an awkward atmosphere takes over the room, and the two stare at each other with faces turning beet red. Full of curiosity and a bit nervous, our hero reaches out and starts to lift the sheet. Upon pulling the sheet, the surprise is Hanan wearing a very bold white dress, leaving the guy's jaw on the floor. Our protagonist is left completely speechless. The girl then asks, all embarrassed, if he liked the special outfit she chose for tonight. The guy stutters a bit but replies that she looks very beautiful, and that he really liked the dress. She then reveals she also bought black stockings and asks if he'd like to see her wearing them. Our protagonist gets super excited about the idea and tells her to put the stockings on right now. Hanan starts dressing slowly in front of him, sliding the black stockings onto her legs. The scene focuses on the girl's legs as she finishes putting on the missing piece of the outfit. Seeing this, our hero gulps and starts sweating cold, seeing his friend all dressed up like that. Now with the full outfit, she asks if he likes the look. Hanan then gets bolder and asks if he doesn't want to touch the stockings to feel the texture. Our hero runs his hand along her leg and agrees that the feeling is indeed very nice. The girl then asks which one he prefers, the feel of the stocking or her skin underneath. Our boy replies with a smile that her skin feels way better, and the lady agrees. But her mom shouts from outside saying she brought some snacks for them, giving our hero a mini heart attack. He then goes to answer the door. Outside, he grabs the bag that his friend's mom left hanging on the doorknob. Looking inside the bag, our protagonist finds a little blue box that confirms his suspicions. He feels awkward, thinking they haven't even kissed yet. But things are already moving way too fast. Hanan then invites him to sleep there and says she's going to get changed, but asks him not to look. Our boy turns his face away, blushing hard, while his friend gets ready for bed in the background. She says she's ready and asks him to turn off the light so they can sleep, and the guy agrees. With that, the two lie down in bed next to each other under the same white blanket. Lying there, our hero asks why her bed smells so good and if she used some perfume. Hanan smiles and says it's her natural scent that perfumed the bed and invites him to take a whiff. Our protagonist is a bit skeptical about her answer and thinks that's biologically impossible. The girl then stares at him with a very seductive look without saying another word, making the tension skyrocket. Seeing this, our hero turns bright red, looking like he finally understood his friend's intentions. Hanan then invited our hero to take the next step that night. Seeing that, our boy doesn't waste any time and gets ready to accept his partner's invitation. He then slowly gets closer to her and leans in for the kiss she's been waiting for. Without further ado, the two finally share a passionate kiss. The kiss gets more and more intense, and Hanan looks surprised but seems to be enjoying the moment at the same time. But suddenly, she pushes him away and asks him to wait a sec, totally killing the mood between them. Hanan sits up on the bed looking super awkward, and our hero asks what happened to make her stop like that. With her face bright red, she confesses that she ended up wetting the bed again out of pure nervousness. An awkward silence takes over the room while they stare at each other. But our protagonist asks how she felt and if her mental energy wave was very strong. The girl explains that her heart started racing and her body heated up way before the accident happened. Our protagonist then says that her mental energy wave was indeed very strong and confirms his suspicion. He believes her unknown superpower is linked to her mental energy and is controlled by her. Hanan is shocked by the revelation and listens carefully as the guy explains his theory about her potential power. Then our hero suggests they continue what they were doing to test the theory in practice. Hanan asks him to hold on a sec before changing her diaper, but he tells her to just go ahead, since she's bound to get wet again anyway. So, without wasting a single moment, our boy kisses Hanan to help her train her powers. Blushing like crazy, our hero asks Hanan how she felt that time. She explains it was just like before and her power activated, but in the process, she ended up having another little accident. After their training session, Hanan mentions she's all sweaty and needs to hop in the shower to clean up. Once in the bathroom, she realizes she forgot her clothes and asks him to grab them for her. Happy to help, our hero heads to her closet to look for some pajamas. Inside, he finds a bunch of different clothes, including some of Hanan's more intimate items. Our MC turns bright red when he picks up a cute little number with a pink bow. He thinks to himself that Hanan should be wearing a diaper to bed, not that, so he puts the item away. Instead, he grabs a blue nightgown for her. A little while later, the two of them are lying in bed. But our guy can't seem to fall asleep and keeps looking over to his side. He sees that Hanan is already out for the count, even drooling a little as she sleeps peacefully. Chenchin watches his friend sleep, and he even gently wipes the little bit of drool from her mouth. In the morning, our hero says his goodbyes and quietly slips out of Hanan's room. As soon as he's out, he runs smack into her mom, who invites him to stay for breakfast. At the table, her dad asks if Hanan is up yet, and our protagonist replies that he let her keep sleeping. He complains that Hanan is lazy, but Chenchin stands up for his friend, saying she deserves a little rest. After breakfast, our boy thanks them and leaves, waving goodbye to Shenqing's mom. The second he's gone, the neighbor closes her door with a very suspicious grin on her face. She tells her husband that she heard the shower running in the middle of the night and thinks they totally spent the night together. Super thrilled with the news, she grabs her phone to spill the tea to her friends. Our protagonist finally makes it home. Once he's there, he decides to do his laundry and takes his shirt off. His mom pops up out of nowhere, and he just about jumps out of his skin. Totally confused, he just watches as his mom gives him a thumbs up, praising him for being a big boy. Now, meanwhile, we see another building. A whole crew of gym bros shows up looking for Liu Xuanwu. Our MC's new kung fu master plays dumb. Director Mi yells at Liu Xuanwu, saying our guy was already at his Evolution Academy and that he straight up poached him. Liu Xuanwu doesn't back down and yells right back that he didn't do anything behind his back and that his academy is allowed to recruit students too. The fight gets ugly, with the two of them in each other's faces, trading barbs about school rules and the agreements between them. With a triumphant tone, Liu Xuanwu says his competition was fair, and if Ma doesn't like it, he should try to convince the kid to come back. The muscle-bound director gets totally ticked off at the response and calls him out to throw down and settle this. Like men. But Liu Xuanwu just scoffs at him and asks if he really thinks he's dumb enough to fall for that. Director Ma gets annoyed with Liu for being so much stronger, but Liu retorts that Ma is the one taking advantage of being younger. Furious, Director Ma snaps that Liu will always be weak without gene fusion and storms off. And just like that, he stomps away with his crew of buff dudes, leaving our MC's master behind. In another room, Director Yuan Dongxi tells Mao to chill out because Chenchin is going to see his friends surpassing him soon enough. She continues, saying that in time, the kid will want to switch courses, but the director is still fuming. Director Yuan then suggests that he pay him back in the same coin and poach a student from Liu Xuanwu. Director Ma looks a little hesitant about the suggestion but ends up agreeing to go along with her plan. Director Ma leaves the room. She muses on how Ma is always so calm but completely loses his cool every single time he deals with Liu Xuanwu. Director Yuan Dongxi thinks to herself that Liu hasn't changed a bit and still has that same silver tongue. She laments that he could have become a director himself if he hadn't strayed from the path. On the streets, we see our protagonist and Hanan jogging together. After a while, Hanan is totally wiped, saying she can't run another step. Our hero then offers her a bottle of water to get hydrated. He says that's enough for one day and suggests they rest on a bench. She then lies face down on the bench to relax her muscles. Being the smooth operator he is, our Chenchin sits down next to her and starts massaging her legs to help out. Blushing bright red, Hanan thanks him for the help, her cheeks all flushed. He replies that between them, there's no need for thanks. Hanan gets all flustered and asks him what exactly their relationship is. Are they friends, or maybe more? Chenchin hits her with the question. This makes the girl blush bright red and she asks what kind of family he'd like to have. She gets a little shy and asks if he was referring to, her becoming his fiancée. And with a huge grin, she confirms that's exactly what he meant, and just like that, they're now engaged to each other. She's so thrilled with the idea that she starts bouncing on the bench, just pure happiness. Hanan then suggests they should get married as soon as they graduate from college. Our boy agrees in a heartbeat. Right then and there, they make a pinky promise to seal the deal they just made. So, we cut to Chenchin chilling at home with his parents, watching some TV. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door, and Chenchin's dad goes to get it. When he opens the door, the man is stunned and asks what Director Mai is doing there. Director Mai, with his usual flair, says he came to talk about Chenchin's choice of school. The dad is confused, saying they've already picked a school, and doesn't get the reason for the visit. The director offers a gift explaining that a former student gave him a ton of fish, and he wanted to share. After that, our hero's dad invites the man to come in and chat in the living room. Director May explains that Chenchin's gene fusion is at 15%, and it would be a huge waste not to pursue that path. He says the other academy's theory is a total crock, and if our hero goes there, he'll only be setting himself back in the long run. The director advises our protagonist not to go down the pure human path and to come back to the Evolution Academy. Chenchin listens carefully to Director May's advice. This gets his mom all confused, and she asks what he's talking about since her son already enrolled in a school. Chenchin then reveals that he forgot to mention it, but he actually joined the other academy a few days ago. He continues, saying he's now going to follow the path of a pure martial artist, leaving his parents completely stunned. His mom then asks him what's really going on. Our hero explains that he agreed to try out the other academy for 6 months because they offered triple the benefits. He also says that if he doesn't make any progress, he'll go back to the gene fusion path, which seems to calm his parents down. Director May is skeptical that the old geezer from the other academy can actually afford to pay out 3 times the benefits. Director Mama gets serious and says he has one last piece of advice for Chenshin. He argues that Chenshin would miss out on a lot of precious knowledge during that time, and that the benefits just aren't worth it. Our protagonist thanks him but turns down the advice, already dreaming about the cash he'll make with triple the benefits. Seeing he's not getting through to Chenshin, Director Mao just lets out a sigh of defeat. Director Ma gives up, saying that since Chenshin is insisting on this, he won't meddle anymore. With that, he says he has other business to attend to and takes his leave, while Chenshin's parents see him out. We get a shot of our hero's apartment. The next day, our hero is sipping some coffee while scrolling through the news on his phone. That's when he stumbles upon an article that leaves him floored. The news is about a genius who abandoned gene fusion, and to his surprise, they mention him by name. So Chenshin dives into the comments and sees that everyone is just trashing him and the academy. He gets worried because his personal info was leaked, which could attract all sorts of weirdos. Our protagonist wonders if it was Director May or someone else who hates the academy that leaked everything. He then decides it doesn't matter who did it, and thinks about reporting the article for leaking his private data. 2 hours later, he's relieved to see the article has been taken down. Chenshin then picks up his phone again. He checks a group chat where everyone is talking about him and the photo that got leaked online. Chenshin realizes that with his picture now out there, things just got even more complicated for him. As night falls over the seaside city, it sets the perfect scene for what's about to go down. Suddenly, Hanan barges into the room, announcing she's crashing with our hero tonight. Once they're in bed, they're both scrolling on their phones, and she complains about how they just threw a student under the bus to take the fall. She suggests hitting up her master for help, who's apparently a total powerhouse, to fix the problem. Our MC figures this is just some faction beef, and that her master won't want to get involved. The girl insists, saying it can't hurt to try, and grabs her phone to shoot her a message. Staring at her phone, she's completely stunned because her master sorted the whole thing out in under 30 minutes. This leaves Chenshin completely floored, wondering how that could even be possible. His friend then shows him her phone, proving that when you search his name now, nothing pops up. Our hero gets confused, wondering if the master helped him out because he's her disciple's buddy, or if there's another reason. He then asks her to thank her master for him, but Hanan wants to know how he's going to thank her. Blushing like crazy, she asks for a kiss, and the two slowly lean in for a romantic moment. After that, Chenshin sits on the bed to meditate, and a white energy starts to envelop him. He takes a deep breath, releasing some of that energy. The system then announces his level up, and that he's finally finished refining his skin. Looking at his stats, the system shows that our hero is at level 7 and is 18 years old. He realizes that his 9 attributes are stronger than the prodigy from Kyoto. Suddenly, his phone on the bed starts vibrating with a new notification. It was a message from Hanan, inviting him to go with her somewhere next week. He then thinks that if she goes through with the fusion, she'll lose her fertility, so he agrees to go with her. Come Monday, the two friends head to a huge hospital in the city. Inside, Hanan is lying on a hospital gurney, looking anxious. The nurse tells her she's administered the shot, that she can come back tomorrow. On their way out, our MC complains about having to wait until the next day. Hanan's friend then suggests they go hang out and blow off some steam. They ask if Chenshin wants to come along, but he turns them down, saying he has other stuff to do. Celebrating, the friend says goodbye to him, super happy to get some alone time with Hanan. Back in his room, our hero sits on his bed and decides it's time to train his muscles. He feels a really intense burning sensation, but says he can still handle the pain of the training. After spending the entire afternoon focused on his right arm, he passes out from exhaustion. After the intense workout, Chenshin eats a ton to get back all the energy he used up. He realizes that with just one arm, his strength has increased by 50% thanks to the new technique. Hanan knocks on the door, wanting to talk. He tells her to come in. Hanan says her friend invited them to hang out before classes start. Our hero calmly takes her hand and says it's okay for her to accept. But she looks sad because her friend wants to go to the beach, and she doesn't know how to turn down the invitation. Hanan remembers the scary voice she heard in the ocean and says she's afraid to go back. To calm her down, Chenshin says they don't have to go in the water, and that he'll be right there with her. Elsewhere, we see a dark cave with a platform full of runes floating over lava. On top of that platform, a mysterious figure is standing. Then, a giant green monster appears, saying he's opened 108 tunnels for his master. He's reporting to a man in a suit and a plague doctor mask. The masked man just listens to the monster's report and agrees with a nod. He raises his staff, which has a glowing red eye. With all his might, he slams the staff into the ground. The masked man then cuts his own wrist without a second thought. His blood runs down the staff, causing it to react. Red energy spreads out, and he says he's already marked the coordinates of that location. He finishes by saying that once the points connect, the tunnel between worlds will be open. On a beautiful, sunny day, a car cruises down a coastal highway as Chuksan asks Hugh when he got his driver's license. He replies that he got it 10 days into summer vacation because his dad signed him up for a crash course. Hearing this, the group gets excited and Zichin, along with the girls, says they definitely want to sign up too. A short while later, he parks the car and excitedly announces they've finally reached their destination. Stepping out onto the beach, Hugh throws his arms open and celebrates the sea breeze, saying how much he missed this. He continues his excitement, looking out at the ocean and all the people having fun on the sand. However, his attention is quickly diverted to a group of girls in bikinis who were in the water. Seeing the dopey look on his face, Chuksan gives Hugh a punch and tells him to stop being such a pervy in front of everyone. She then grabs Han by the hand, telling her they should go get changed and just ignore their clueless friend. With the girls long gone, he puts his arm around Zichin and suggests they should go get changed too. As they walk towards the changing rooms, he talks to our hero and mentions he can't wait to go for a swim. However, a guy in the crowd recognizes Zichin and points him out, saying he was the provincial runner-up. His friends then start gossiping about how Zichin threw away his future by joining the Sky Pavilion. He overhears the trash talk and gets absolutely furious, turning to confront the guys immediately. He then yells at the group, asking why they stopped talking, leaving them totally spooked by his reaction. However, Zichin grabs Hugh's arm and stops him from starting a fight with the guys. Hugh is impressed by his calm demeanor, and Zichin explains he'd only fight if they mouth something important to him. His friend then asks what would be important, and our boy gives him a hey, you even have to ask, look. Just then the girls show up and Chuksan reveals that obviously, he cares most about Han. He realizes it was a dumb question, while Chuksan tells the two of them to hurry up and get changed already. A little later, the guys come back looking all ripped, and Zichin offers to put sunscreen on Han. His childhood friend accepts in a heartbeat as she and Chuksan relax on the beach chairs. Our protagonist then starts applying sunscreen to her back, and the girl seems to be really enjoying it. Seeing the scene unfold, Hugh is impressed with our hero's game. He then tries to pull the same move on Chuksan, but she just tells him to get lost and ignores him. Meanwhile, Han thinks about how amazing Zichin is and starts to feel something strange. Suddenly, her eyes go wide, and she starts hearing some nonsensical words. The girl sits up, startled, as the same mysterious voice from before echoes in her mind again. Zichin notices something's wrong, and Han says the strange voice is back. She then turns and points towards the water, saying the sound is coming directly from the sea. Zichin holds her worried, and asks what's happening to her. The girl then explains that she heard the strange voice again, talking about a great god and the source of the sea. Our hero wonders if this has to do with the origin lands, but realizes they know almost nothing about the place. Because of that, he suggests that when classes start, she should indirectly ask her master about this mysterious location. Back in his room, Zichin meditates on his bed. After strengthening his muscles, he began training his bones. The process is 1,000 times more painful, and he feels an intense ache all over his body. Completely exhausted, he finally finishes strengthening all 206 bones in his body. The system then congratulates him for evolving into a rank 9 common creature, just shy of a new level. He picks up the book he received and thinks he just needs to open his body's apertures, but the method is very vague. Because of this, our guy decides he'll have to figure out how to do it on his own. Sometime later, we see Han's master in front of the university, saying they've finally arrived. Walking down the street, Han excitedly points to an ice cream shop she recognizes. Zichin confirms it's the same shop they used to go to when they were kids. The master suggests they get some ice cream before enrolling, and Han happily agrees. The girl then enjoys her strawberry and milk ice cream, saying it's delicious. She then offers a piece of her sweet treat to Zichin. Excited about the food, he says he wants another bowl. But his attention is drawn to the bar. There, he sees a guy with a group of girls, saying that one of their skirts is way too long. The girl flirts back, expecting him to make a move. Someone at the bar then says the girl lost a game and tells her to drink as a penalty. A guy with glasses comments that the girl plays hard to get at the university, but here, she's being pretty easy. Zichin gets lost in thought hearing about the inner campus while eating his ice cream. He then finds out that the university is split into 2 campuses, the outer one for culture and arts, and the inner campus, which is restricted and holds secrets like genetic fusion and mechanical modifications. The master then warns the 2 of them not to become like those guys and to keep up with their studies. But the man says they are both good kids and knows they won't end up that way, and that it's getting late now. Zichin's father says he can't go inside and asks him to take care of Han in there. At the campus entrance, a guard asks for their admission letters. Our guy hands over his document, and the guard clears him to enter. The guard then recognizes Zichin as the guy who joined the Sky Pavilion and lets him pass. Inside the campus, they see the place is filled with humans with genetic fusions and modifications. After registering, Zichin and Han head to their respective assigned dorms. He then drops his childhood friend off at the evolution dorm and says goodbye to her. Arriving at the martial arts academy, our guy is surrounded by a group of girls who think he's a total hottie. A blonde upperclassman then offers to walk him to his room, and he thanks her for the help. As they walk, she asks if he wants to see the student power rankings, and our hero agrees. There are two lists, one with the top 500 students and another with the top 100 freshmen. The top 3 are evolution and mechanics seniors, and only 3 martial arts students are on the list. The upperclassman then tells him that a former martial arts student managed to reach 6th place. But as a pure human, she hit a ceiling and was surpassed. Now she's a researcher at the Sky Pavilion. Shortly after, the two arrive at Zichen's dorm, and the upperclassman announces their arrival. She gets jealous because as the runner-up, he got a private dorm room all to himself. The young woman then says she's all sweaty and asks if she can use his shower to freshen up. Our guy thanks her for her help and invites her for tea at the shop out front, leaving her flustered. Alone in his room, he thinks that buying her tea settles the debt for her help, completely missing her intentions. In his room, he gets a message from Han asking for a picture of his dorm. He realizes his room is pretty basic compared to the luxury of her room. The girl complains about his tiny room and invites him to come live with her. Without a second thought, he grabs his things and says he's on his way right now. As he walks, he thinks about how the Evolution Academy has a ton of money. He's outraged that the best room in his own academy is so plain. Arriving at the elevator, he wonders if his master will actually keep his promise of triple the benefits. At the apartment door, Han greets him, happy that he's arrived. She invites him in and says she already turned on the AC to cool the place down. Our guy compliments the dorm and Han agrees, saying her master treats her very well. She celebrates that this is their own little place, so she can walk around however she wants. He gets all flustered and says he's sweaty and is going to take a shower. While Han gets changed, he decides to check out the university's app for freshmen. Zichen then opens the university's campus app to see what he can find. Inside the app, he sees various resources for sale and wonders how to get the credits to buy them. He finds out he needs to climb the rankings, complete missions, or win school competitions. Han then calls him from the bathroom, asking him to bring her clothes. He goes to the bathroom door to hand over the clothes she asked for. But the girl invites him to take a bath with her because the bathtub is very large. The Zichen gets all flustered but agrees it would be a waste to use that huge bathtub all by himself. Excited, he says they're totally going to bathe together. In the tub, he offers to scrub her back and Han accepts in a heartbeat. She then says she'll scrub his back afterward, and the water starts to overflow. After their bath, our guy starts the second round of his skin training. The process is even tougher, and it takes him 2 hours just to strengthen his right hand. Lying in bed, he asks Han if she has a sewing needle. The girl asks what he needs it for, and our hero explains it's to test his skin's toughness. He then starts pricking his hand with the needle while the system measures his skin's resistance. With all his might, he tries to pierce his hand, but the needle breaks before it can even puncture the skin. Impressed, Han says his skill is incredible, and Zichen announces that the next test is heat resistance. He places his hand over a flame, and the system begins to measure his resistance to heat. After 1 minute, he starts to feel the burn and thinks that with this technique, he'll achieve physical sanctification. Suddenly, his phone buzzes, and Zichen wonders who's texting him. He sees it's a message from Master Lu Chuanwu and starts to reply. The master invites him to check out the Sky Pavilion's headquarters, and our hero accepts. He then lets him know that he's not in his dorm, but at his childhood friend's apartment. The master replies that he'll send someone to pick him up there and asks him to wait outside. Zichen tells Han he has to leave because the dean invited him to the headquarters. He then says he'll wait under a shady tree to stay out of the sun. A red-haired guy shows up, and our guy says he'll just wait right there for his ride. The redhead then recognizes him as Zichen, the runner-up who joined the Sky Pavilion. Our protagonist replies with a he, and thinks to himself that he's actually famous now. The guy starts rambling on about how much he admires Zichen's courage for following the path of pure blood. He wishes the Sky Pavilion good luck and takes off, leaving our hero confused by all the chatter. Suddenly, Zichen senses something is off and goes on high alert, scanning his surroundings. A red motorcycle pulls up in front of him, and the rider asks if he's student Lin Zichen. He confirms that's him while checking out the mysterious woman. She takes off her helmet and introduces herself as Song Yuan, an instructor and researcher at the Sky Pavilion. Recognizes her as the runner-up who chose the path of pure blood and then vanished. On the bike, she tells him to hold on tighter because they're about to take off. She asks if he's happy to be picked up by a big sister, and he replies that it's an honor. On the way, she asks why a martial arts student was hanging out in the evolution dorms. He explains that his childhood friend lives there, and the woman complains that kids these days have it so good. A short while later, they reach their destination, and the instructor announces their arrival. At the entrance of the Pure Human Institute, she invites him in to check the place out. She shows him the lounge where the researchers chill out when work gets boring. The woman then offers him a drink from the fridge, paid for by research funds. With drinks in hand, she invites him to see the research area. Our guy asks why the place is so empty, and she explains the situation. She reveals that the Sky Pavilion isn't very popular and is short on funding, so they can't hire many people. She says that right now. It's just the dean, herself, Zichin, and 3 upperclassmen. Our guy then remembers the crowd he saw earlier and realizes they were all hired actors. He doesn't really care, as long as he gets his benefits, and the woman takes him to the dean. The dean looks completely exhausted and invites Zichin into his office. Our hero asks how long he's been there, and the man reveals he's spent almost half a month on research. But with Zichin there, he believes the path of pure blood will finally make some progress. The dean then says that Sister Yan was the runner, up from the capital, and she brags about her scores. He then reveals that thanks to her, he was able to complete his 3rd body strengthening. The master says Zichin's scores were lower, but he still has a chance to catch up to her. He then asks if our hero has learned to control his blood yet, and Zichin says yes. The dean says Sister Yan will guide him in his skin training, and she promises to help. Our guy then reveals that he already finished the first round of skin training over summer vacation. The dean and the instructor are left completely shocked and speechless by the revelation. Yuan Dongxi is in shock, asking how our hero managed to master body refinement all by himself over the summer. The dean isn't buying it and says Chenshin must be mistaken, so he asks to take a look at his hand. Our protagonist activates his natural camouflage to disguise his biological level and fool them both. With everything set, our boy extends his arm and lets the dean check it out. The dean and Yuan Dongxi are left with their jaws on the floor when they confirm it's the real deal, wondering how he pulled it off. Completely stunned, he asks our hero what his current biological rank is. Replies a bit sheepishly that he's at ordinary rank 5. The dean starts shouting with joy, calling Chenshin a genius and declaring that the future of pure-blooded humans is finally secure. Celebrating, he hugs Chenshin and says that with a pure-blooded human, they'll shatter the limits of ordinary beings. Yuan Dongxi is also thrilled, commenting that it's fantastic to have someone capable of paving a new way for humanity. She suggests publicizing our hero's potential to attract more geniuses and secure more research funding. But the dean disagrees, saying Chenshin's status must be kept secret because exposing him now could be extremely dangerous. They must focus all their resources on our MC to help him evolve faster. She worries about the money, but the dean reassures her, saying he'll use his contacts to get everything they need. As the two of them talk, our hero thinks that if he told them the truth about his level, they'd completely lose their minds. The dean says Chenshin no longer needs to attend regular classes and that Yuan Dongxi will be his assistant. But she's not too thrilled about the idea. The dean brushes off her complaint, stating that their research is far more important than her reputation. He announces that tomorrow will be the freshman orientation and a test to choose the Rookie King. With our hero's current strength, the dean guarantees that the Rookie King title is practically his for the taking. He offers 10 pills if our boy beats the other freshmen, and Yuan Dongxi sees right through a sneaky plan to get him to show off his techniques. To sweeten the deal, the winner also gets 10 credits, which definitely piques Chenshin's interest. The day of the freshman assembly arrives, and the university auditorium is packed to the rafters. Some students are whispering about our protagonist, wondering why he's sitting with Hanan. Suddenly, a guy who picked a fight with him before shows up and asks if our hero remembers him. Our protagonist coldly replies that he does. The guy gets straight to the point and asks what the deal is between our hero and Hanan. Our boy pulls Hanan closer and lies, saying they're engaged and will get married after graduation. The dude is left completely speechless and looking like a deer in headlights after that unexpected answer. Looking around, our protagonist notices a whole lot of guys are now giving him the evil eye. But in the middle of the crowd, he spots a different girl sitting a few rows back with cat ears. He also spots the cat-eared girl, who seems a bit lost in thought. RMC is a little surprised by her presence. Meanwhile, the so-called rival keeps bragging and chatting with other students like he owns the place. On stage, a man announces the freshman representative and extends a hand, calling the chosen one to give a speech. To everyone's surprise, the guy who stands up is none other than our hero's loud-mouthed rival. The crowd is totally confused because the representative is some guy named Li Moyu, the biggest talker in the class. With a smug grin, he thinks to himself that he created this contrast on purpose, just so he could show off in front of everyone. Reaching the microphone, he begins his speech by asking if the audience has ever heard of a certain Li Yijin. Chenshin immediately remembers that's the name of the famous, well-known genius from Capital University. Then the loudmouth reveals that this genius is his younger brother, and that he was the best in the college entrance exams with incredible scores. With immense pride, he introduces himself as Li Moyu, the brother of the genius everyone admires so much. He explains that he made a pact with his brother for both of them to break every record at their respective universities. He unleashes his aura and tells everyone to feel the biological pressure of a rank 5 being. The students begin to choke, complaining about the power gap since most of them are only rank 2 or 3. With a triumphant smile, the show off introduces himself again, telling everyone to remember his name well, Li Moyu. Hanan whispers that this Moyu guy is a dork and that our hero could squash him with one finger, but he tells her to keep it down. The announcer calls the student council president, Zhou Zhuhong, to the stage and the crowd erupts in applause. The young man calmly walks to the podium, and the announcer hands him the microphone to begin his speech. He introduces himself as Zhou Zhuhong and says he has 3 important things to tell the new students. The first is that the student council is in charge of discipline, and they have more power than the freshmen can imagine. The second is that the council will be recruiting 10 freshmen next semester, and the only requirement is to be strong. And the third is that on the inner campus, the law of the jungle rules, and upperclassmen tend to give freshmen a hard time. Before leaving, he wants to do one last little thing. With a serious look, he says he's going to let everyone experience firsthand the power of an advanced creature. He releases an insane biological pressure that sends the entire audience into a panic, unable to breathe. Our protagonist feels the creature's pressure, but since it was far away, he figures he can handle it, being an ordinary rank 9. Everyone is relieved when the pressure only lasts for 5 seconds, commenting on how terrifying an advanced creature is. On stage, director Yuan Dongxi announces the opening test and says the rules to participate are quite simple. She explains that the first person to remain alone on stage for over a minute becomes the Rookie King and wins a reward of 100 credits. Second place gets 90 credits, and the prizes go all the way down to 10th place, while some guy comments that the genius class always sweeps the board. However, if a student from the regular class makes it into the top 10, everyone in their class gets 1 credit, which is worth 10,000 yuan. With the plan in mind, the crowd starts getting rowdy until someone tells everyone to shut up. A guy named He Yu grabs the microphone and says that Chen is the strongest in the regular class and that everyone should help him reach the top 10. With that idea, all the students from the regular class turn and stare intently at our protagonist, waiting for an answer. The crowd then gets fired up, shouting that they'll clear a path for our hero to reach the top 10, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, one of the professors asks President Zhou if he isn't being a little petty with the freshmen. The professor accuses the president of taking it out on Li Yijin's brother just because he lost to him earlier in the year. Zhou responds with a cynical smile, saying he only targets individuals and never messes with anyone's family. With that, he turns to Dean Ma and asks how his daughter did on the university entrance exam. The dean says she placed 3rd, and Zhou tells him to send her to the student council, as he will take care of all the geniuses. In the audience, the girl with cat ears watches as the crowd debates who will be the Rookie King, Li Moyu or Mei Jiwei. The professors argue, with one betting on Li Moyu for already being rank 5, but another reminds him that the dean's daughter fused with a shadow cat. However, one of the guys disagrees with all of it, saying that, in his opinion, neither of them will be the Rookie King. With a confident smile, the bearded guy asserts the true Rookie King will be Chen, leaving the others stunned. Dima gets annoyed and says our hero's stats aren't even in the top 10 and that the other guy is just bluffing. So, the two decide to make a bet, and our boy's Dean wagers 100 credits on his victory, and Dean Ma accepts the challenge. The bet grows, and Director Yuan Dongxi is invited to wager 1,000 credits, while Dian Mao wonders about the source of all this confidence. Dima looks furious and refuses to believe our protagonist has any chance of winning. A woman in armor recalls that Chen was supposed to be in Dian Ma's academy, but he says he doesn't miss the boy. The armored woman then thinks this is all revenge because Dean Ma poached 3 upperclassmen from the Celestial Pavilion. With a grin on his face, Dean Ma celebrates the bets, thinking he's about to get rich with 9 bets of 100 and 1 of 1,000. The opening test finally begins, and the regular class charges full force at the genius class. It's total chaos, and one of the genius class students gets beaten so badly that he screams in desperation for them to stop, saying he surrenders. Our hero watches from a distance, thinking that the strongest ones in the genius class are those with high genetic compatibility. He then identifies the 12 most powerful fighters led by Li Moyu and Ma Shiwei as the real opponents. Using his danger sense, our hero analyzes the opponents and realizes the strongest ones are ordinary rank 5. The regular class celebrates their victory over the geniuses, shouting that they're nothing special. Then they look up and call for a guy to come down and fight, yelling for him to stop hiding. But a huge guy from the genius class jumps into their midst and asks if they think they're strong just because they have numbers. He lands with a thud and challenges the crowd to surround him, saying he'll show them just how weak they really are. The regular class isn't intimidated and charges forward, yelling to get him, and that one punch from each of them is enough to end the fight. With a single blow, the brute sends everyone flying and calls them ants, showing his superiority. He then continues the beatdown, hitting several students with quick punches and kicks, giving no one a chance. And with that, several students from the regular class are defeated and left lying on the ground, completely knocked out. The big guy then says that ants will always be ants, and no matter how many there are, they can never hurt an elephant. The defeated students get angry at being called ants, and ask our protagonist to go up there and take down the arrogant jerk. Seeing he has no other choice, our hero stands up and walks toward the stage, saying, "All right, I'll fight." Now in the center of the arena, our boy faces the challenge with a confident stance, and says he's ready to start. The opponent gets ready for the fight and says he was looking forward to facing the top scorer from Nanjiang province. He introduces himself as Lu Qzi and lists his impressive stats, then asks Chenchen for his. Our hero says there's no need for introductions, as his opponent is about to feel it firsthand. He then lands a powerful kick right in the big guy's stomach. The force of the blow sends the guy flying, and he lands on the ground, knocked out cold. The regular class goes wild, cheering and shouting that our protagonist is incredible. The professors are dumbfounded, wondering what his true strength is. Right after, another opponent from the genius class jumps into the arena to fight. The guy tries to attack, but our hero easily dodges and lands a side kick. The regular class crowd cheers again, shouting that they have their own genius too. Someone yells for Li Moyu and Ma Shui to fight, or the Rookie King title will go to the regular class. At that moment, the girl with cat ears finally enters the arena for combat. The audience gets excited and starts cheering for her, as she looks quite confident. The regular class shouts for our hero not to go easy on her just because she's hot. Our boy thinks this is a good chance to observe a gene fusion user. Suddenly, the girl dashes forward at an insane speed, surprising our protagonist. She leaps into the air for a kick, and he wonders if this is the ability of the nocturnal shadow cat. The girl is shocked that he dodged her swift attack so easily. She then realizes she's not strong enough and that continuing to attack is pointless. So, she asks for 30 seconds to activate her genes, and he agrees on the spot. Our hero thinks this is a unique opportunity to see a genetic activation up close. Meanwhile, the professors comment that the dean's daughter's talent is impressive. But Di Mai is worried, as forcing the fusion like this could be dangerous for her. Now transformed, she says our protagonist was arrogant for waiting for her to get stronger. With a furious look, she says he's going to pay dearly for that arrogance. The girl lunges forward with a super fast kick, but our hero defends it without any trouble. He analyzes the blow and thinks that before, she was at ordinary rank 5. But now with the transformation, her power is almost at rank 6. Even with all that power, she's shocked that she can't land a single hit. She tries everything, but our protagonist dodges all of her attacks with ease. Our boy thinks he's collected enough data on Shadow Cat users. So, he decides he doesn't need to waste any more time and is ready to end the fight. With a clean punch, our hero lands a direct hit on the face of the cat-eared girl. The force of the blow is so strong that she goes flying without even having time to react. Lying on the ground, the crowd comments that her pretty face was totally wrecked by Chenchen. Dima rushes desperately to help his daughter, who is crying and covering her face with her hands. He's furious and asks if our boy has any shame, hitting a girl. But Li Moyu agrees with our hero, saying that in evolution, all that matters is who is stronger. Then the loudmouth finally jumps into the arena, and the audience gets hyped to see the fight. The genius class shouts that he's their only hope and begs him to avenge the girl. He says he didn't expect our protagonist to be playing weak just to show off. But with a wicked smile, he reveals that our hero isn't the only one hiding his power. With that, he also begins to transform, showing his true strength to everyone. Professors are shocked to discover that Li Moyu is also a gene fusion user. And to make matters worse, he fused with a demon-eyed ape, a super strong creature. The dean who bet on our boy starts to panic, thinking he's about to lose 19 million. Meanwhile, in the back of the room, two guys are talking about a new mission from their organization. One of the guys reveals he hid a magic seed and wants the other two to get it for Li Moyu to eat, but his partner thinks the idea is way too risky. But the person on the other end of the watch call says their organization is so powerful it could wipe out Li Moyu's family with a snap of its fingers. Under pressure, the blonde guy asks if they're really going to do this, and the other replies that they have no choice. Li Moyu analyzes his transformation, thinking that the demon-eyed ape is strong and tough, but pretty slow. Then he brags, saying that he and Ma Shui are the best, and that the power gap between them is enormous. Our protagonist couldn't care less and rushes in with a quick punch at the big guy. Li Moyu is surprised that our hero dodged his blow and even managed to counter-attack, hitting him in the face. Chenchen cranks his speed up to level 7 and lands a solid punch to his opponent's chest. Taking advantage of the opening, Chenchen lands another clean punch right in the middle of his rival's face. The brute complains about a sneak attack, and our hero notices that his defense is at level 6. Li Moyu gets into a fighting stance and says he's focused now and our protagonist won't hit him again. Our hero continues with a flurry of blows, and the audience comments that he's fast but isn't hurting his rival. The professors see that Li Moyu's defense is superior and think the fight is over for our boy. Our protagonist keeps up the punches, thinking that the reaction speed test is complete. With a leap backward, our hero backs away and says he's now going to test the final attribute of strength. Li Moyu says he underestimated his speed but adds that he's too weak and is destined to lose. With a roar of anger, the rival warns that now it's his turn to attack and prepares a devastating punch. Someone in the crowd screams desperately for our hero to dodge the attack coming his way. The professors, already counting their chickens, tell the dean to go ahead and transfer the 100 credits. The powerful blow connects with Chenchen's face, causing a huge impact. But the punch backfires, and an X-ray view shows the bones in the rival's hand shattering from the force. Lying on the ground, Li Moyu screams in pain, saying his hand is completely crushed and he can't believe it. The audience is totally confused, wondering what just happened and if our protagonist really won the fight. Our hero then explains that the fusion gave him so much strength that his rival's body couldn't handle its own power. He then calls for the medics to treat Lee Moyu's crushed hand, who is still on the ground in agony. At that moment, director Yuan Dongxi enters the arena and tells the medical team to get a move on. She takes the young man's hand and wonders if the recoil from punching our hero's face caused all this damage. Lost in thought, she questions just how hard our protagonist's face must be to cause such an injury. Our boy notices she's using spiritual power to analyze him and activates his natural camouflage. She concludes that he's an ordinary rank 6, but his durability and the density of his bones and muscles are off the charts. The professor asks about his strength, and she replies that he's just a rank 6 with high physical resistance. Our protagonist thinks to himself that his plan worked perfectly, and he managed to fool everyone. Suddenly, Lee Moyu sits up with his hand healed and wonders what kind of magic medicine instantly fixed him. Our hero asks if his rival's hand is all better, and the guy happily replies that it's good as new. So Chen tells him to get lost and delivers a kick that sends the guy flying out of the arena again. Now defeated, the rival shouts that when his fusion advances, he will crush our protagonist on this very stage. With that, the crowd starts arguing, and the regular class defends our hero, saying the victory was theirs. Our boy looks up and realizes time's up, as the 1 minute on stage has already passed. The regular class goes nuts, celebrating and shouting that Brother Shen is amazing and has brought them glory. And since he's now the rookie king, our hero jumps right into the middle of the crowd without a word. He grabs Hanan from the genius class, and the crowd wonders what he wants with this Shen Qingyan girl. Blushes deeply as Chen. Our protagonist then lifts her up onto the stage. He places her on the stage, steps away from her, and announces that he's going for the 2nd through 10th place spots too. Just to lock it all in.